but also adversaries in advance, viewers. And there are several examples of this. Just look across the border in Pakistan. Several times Pakistan has been told. Even Iran has been warned in advance. Why wouldn't the Americans have warned in advance India, one of their closest allies? Here's another charge made by Canada: the use of organized crime by India to create a perception of an unsafe environment targeting South Asian community in Canada. Here's a fact check. Canadian intelligence report itself listed Khalistanis as one of the top 5 terror threats in their country, but later watered down their claims. Under pressure from whom? From MPs, members of parliament, of Trudeau's party. This is all on record, viewers. It is often said that patriotism is the last refuge of the scoundrel. And Trudeau, who is today a deeply unpopular leader on the verge of being booted out of office, is looking for a scapegoat to claw back some public goodwill. I don't know, viewers. But he looks to have found a scapegoat in India. I mean, can you believe it? Many analysts, opposition party leaders, and even some in Trudeau's party are saying that the Canadian Prime Minister has made a huge mistake in compromising Canada's long-term strategic interests by letting political compulsion dictate his government's approach to ties with an influential, responsible foreign power like India. What are these compulsions? Let's have a quick look. Lowest ever popularity ratings mar re-election prospects of that man. Trudeau lost a Toronto federal seat that his party had held for 30 years. Trudeau lost a crucial by-election in his party's Liberal stronghold in Montreal. Post-COVID-19, sky-high inflation in Canada, unaffordable housing, soaring crime rates, sagging public healthcare system. Khalistan apologist Canadian MP Jagmeet Singh's party, the NDP, withdraws support, leaving Trudeau's government flailing on the ropes. Trudeau needs 6 support that are influential in 25 parliamentary seats. Is this the reason why he's sucking up to them in this rather bizarre, opportunistic political gamesmanship, viewers? Let's open this up.
All right, gang, let me know in the comments, what do you think? Was that an interesting editorial? Do you think that Canada's harboring terrorists? What are your thoughts? I want to hear them in the comments. My name's Aaron, Canadian Looney. Please like, subscribe, share, get notified. We do live shows every day. Come and check out one of those. We've got a very fun community, great chat room. We have a great time there. Anyhow, thank you for watching this video. My goodness, what a state Trudeau is putting Canada in. My. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah. He packs rallies across the country. He's leading in the polls. He's about to go back to Parliament. I'm speaking about Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. And today he sits down and talks with us. Hello, I'm Brian Lilly, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. We are at a very interesting point in Canadian politics. We have Parliament resuming, a government that is on its last legs, down at 25% in the polls, 20 points behind Poilievre and the Conservatives, who, according to Leger, have the support of 45% of voters, 51% of voters in Ontario alone. It is remarkable to see. At the same time, we've got the fourth party, the New Democrats, Jagmeet Singh, taking himself out of the costly coalition, as Poilievre calls it, and saying he will not support the government any longer, except he is still supporting the government. In the interview you're about to watch, we talked to Poilievre about this issue, about the coalition, what politics looks like going forward, about housing, immigration, school food programs, and whether he really is going to dismantle the Canadian healthcare system. Pierre, you've asked Jagmeet Singh to cancel the Supply and Confidence Agreement, the coalition, the Axis of Weasels. You called on him to cancel that. He pulled out of the deal. Now you're calling on him to join you in bringing down the government. But he has come back and said definitively, no, not going to do it. Were you surprised?
Well, everyone should be surprised because he told us that he was out of the costly coalition, which would mean he'd vote non-confidence. to trigger a carbon tax election. And now he's reversed himself on that, which means that not only has he sold out the people, he's lied to them. He lied when he said that he had ended the coalition. He's now staying in it, and he's refusing to trigger that carbon tax election. And we know why. You were the one that broke the story. Jagmeet needs to get till next year to get his pension, a $2.2 million pension, and he can't get it if he's defeated in the next election. So he's making Canadians who are lined up in food banks wait. 35-year-olds living in mom's basement because housing costs have doubled under the NDP Liberals, they have to wait. People who are terrified of crime due to NDP Liberal catch and release, they have to wait another year so Jagmeet can get his pension. And my message to him is, put goodness before greed. Put the people before your pension. Vote for a carbon tax election now, Jagmeet Singh.
It was called the Supply and Confidence Agreement. Anyone with any sense called it a coalition, and Liberals and New Democrats argued about semantics for the last 2.5 years. But technically, the proper term on the agreement was Supply and Confidence Agreement. I don't know how many times he told us at his news conference here in Toronto that he has ripped up the agreement. He has pulled out of the agreement. Well, if it's called the Supply and Confidence Agreement and you've ripped it up, that would mean you don't have confidence in the government any longer. And yet,
exactly,
several reporters asked him. I asked him 6 times in your news conference the other day. I believe you said it was 31 times.
31 times
since he announced that he's been asked, and he just will not say, "I have no confidence in this government."
That's right. He ripped up the carbon tax agreement, but then he taped it back together, and it's still in place. It's really sad to see someone who claims to be this socialist to be himself so greedy, to put his $2.2 million pension ahead of the people who can't afford to eat, who are living in squalor in the many tent cities that have popped up in places represented by the NDP, tents, encampments that never existed before this NDP Liberal government. He is voting to hike the carbon tax to 61 cents a liter. That's quadruple what it is now, which would just grind our economy to a halt. And so I'm telling Jagmeet Singh, stop it with all your personal greed. It's not the job of taxpayers to pay for your BMWs, your Gucci suits, your fancy watches. It's your job to represent them and do what you said you would do, which is to rip up the agreement for real and trigger a carbon tax election now.
He's trying to position himself. We know the Liberals' support is in the gutter. The NDP support is even lower, according to the latest Leger poll. But Jagmeet Singh's trying to position himself as the only person that can take you on, that the next election is between him and you. And what I found fascinating, since he announced he's ripping up the agreement ad nauseum, is that he not only puts out statements that I've never heard you say, but he's not fact-checked on them. So let me ask you about a couple of these. He says that you want to dismantle healthcare in this country. Do you want to dismantle healthcare in this country, Pierre Poilievre?
No, and you don't need to take my word for it because I have a record. When I was part of the common sense conservative government of Stephen Harper, something for which I'm very proud, we increased health spending every year by 6%, which is more than it has increased under the NDP Liberals. And we did that while successfully balancing the budget and lowering taxes for Canadians. How? We got rid of waste. We cut back on outside consultants, special interest groups, and bureaucracy so that we had more money for taxpayers' wallets and for healthcare in Canada. In fact, I'm the only one who has a common sense plan to bring more doctors. We've got 20,000 immigrant doctors and 32,000 immigrant nurses who can't work simply because they can't get licenses, even though they had very successful careers in other countries with similar standards. My common sense plan would create a national Blue Seal testing standards so that we can test newcomers up to our system and get them working within 60 days. That's thousands of extra doctors and nurses, particularly in rural and remote communities that lack them.
I don't have his.
Has offered nothing, by the way. And where the NDP is in power in BC, the healthcare system is a disaster. So if you want to look for someone who will destroy our healthcare system, it's sellout Jagmeet Singh and the NDP Liberals.
I don't have his name in front of me, but I spoke to a gentleman from India a little while ago who came to Canada. He was a doctor in India, came to Canada believing he'd be able to practice, couldn't practice, found another way to be successful in business and life here in Canada. And last I talked to him, he was seeking the Conservative Party nomination just outside of Toronto, partly because of this very issue that you're talking about. So that's where things are at.
Well, look, Brian, and people say, well, how can the federal government do this when healthcare and occupational licensing is provincial? Simple. We did it in 1952. It's called the Red Seal, which is a licensing standard for all of the regulated trades. It's been in place now for 72 years. So if we can do it in the trades, why can't we do it in the professions?
It makes sense. They are guilds to try and keep people out. Justin Trudeau is hanging on to power. There's always talk about him leaving. I think he wants to have a battle royale with you. In fact, he said the other day he's looking forward to getting into it with you, and then when Parliament resumes. He is going across the country, though, saying that you are going to get rid of programs that Canadians rely on. Excuse me. And he's pointing to things like the school nutrition program. I called around to several provinces, and the only one that has anything is just a promise to Newfoundland. Newfoundland and Labrador have a promise from the federal government, but there's no program yet. And several other provinces I've spoken to say, we've received a letter asking if we're interested in talking, and that's it. So, your answer to Justin Trudeau that you're going to end this program, and how do you take him saying that this is going to save families, implying all families, $800 a month on feeding their kids, when it's actually only going to go to a small sliver of kids in school?
Well, let's start with the fact that after 9 years of Trudeau, we have 2 million people lined up at food banks every month nationwide. In Ontario, it's 1 million people per month. 1 in 10 Torontonians are going to a food bank after 9 years of Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. And according to his own press release on this subject, 1 in 4 kids are not getting enough food after 9 years of his NDP Liberal government.
Hello.
So that's the track record. Now let's talk about the promise. So far, this promise for a food program, which he made years ago, has not served a single solitary meal. Not one ham sandwich, not one apple, not one little bowl of Kraft dinner has been served from this program. The program feeds bureaucracy in Ottawa, not kids in schools. And you mentioned Newfoundland. That's the most hilarious one. So Trudeau sent his minister to Newfoundland to announce this program. It already exists. So they're giving the Newfoundland Liberal government money for a program that existed without that money because it's already set up. So there's no additional meals being served. It's just that Trudeau gets to take credit for a program run by another level of government for which he had no part. And then he gives a check to the provincial bureaucracy just so that he can have a photo op. Kids can't eat photo ops, press releases, or talking points.
Well,
they can't.
I'm sitting in Queen's Park right now, the Ontario Legislature, and I spoke to the ministry here. It's the Ministry of Children, Family, Youth Services, and Ontario runs a well-funded program, has for years, that works with school boards, local community foundations, businesses. And there's a lot of donations, and then the government matches the donations. And I said, that doesn't sound like something that the federal Liberal government would like. They don't like private sector involvement in things like this. Will they work with you on their program? And the response was, we don't know. I said, how can you not know? They said this program's coming. They said, we have been told nothing about the program, just will you speak to us? The school's already started. By the time they come to an agreement, it'll be the new year or the next school year.
That's right. And I'll tell you a simple way we could bring down food prices: axe the carbon tax. The carbon tax on farmers and truckers who bring us our food is what's driving up the enormous food price inflation. And this is government greed of Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau. By axing the carbon tax, you make it affordable for farmers to dry their food, heat their barns, and truckers to ship the food to the grocery store. That would be a common sense approach that would give Canadians relief immediately. So if he really cares about food for kids, then axe the tax.
I was given an astounding fact the other day about the carbon tax. Speaking to a developer, someone with decades of experience in actually getting things built. And they told me that to create 1 ton of cement, you need to emit 1 ton of carbon. The cost of 1 ton of cement is below the $170 that the carbon tax is going to. And so they said by 2030, the carbon tax will cost more than the cement will. So it will more than double the cost of cement, which is vital to use in construction of building homes, building schools, building hospitals.
Well, what will more likely happen is that the cement and concrete quarries and factories across Canada will simply close, and they will move to the United States, and there will be shipments of concrete and cement powder coming up from the Americans. We will be sending billions of dollars to them to supply us with essential building materials that will drive down our economy, the incomes of our workers, and the revenues of our governments. The same is true with steel. The carbon tax is costing Stelco in Hamilton $500 million. Under the plan to quadruple the tax over the next 5 years, Stelco is gone. I predict Algoma is gone, and all the steel making in this country will simply move to the United
everybody.
States.
Hello, John.
And if the tariffs are lifted, they'll move to China, because there's
I don't
no
think
way you
Nick's
can
here
produce
anymore,
goods.
and I'm
This
just
will
looking
be
through some
nuclear
pennies and
winter
listening to some
for our economy.
politics.
Brian, the
Ooh,
finance
61,
department
definitely.
says that this year
Copper.
alone, with the 17-cent
Copper,
liter
copper.
tax, it deletes $25 billion of our GDP. This isn't Pierre Poilievre's calculations. This isn't, the Fraser Institute or a
Boo, 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 boo,
conservative
boo,
leaning
boo,
think
boo,
tank.
boo,
This is the
boo.
finance
Ba,
department
ba,
of
ba, ba,
Justin
ba,
Trudeau.
ba, ba, ba.
By 2030, it's $30 billion.
Turn that.
And then you would add the second carbon tax, which they call the so-called clean
All
fuel
right,
standard.
that should
That
take
will
care of
delete
that.
another $10 billion.
Da, da,
So
da.
2 carbon taxes by 2030 will have deleted
Woo!
$40 billion of GDP.
Yeah, that'll
According
do.
to the
That'll do,
government's
donkey.
own
That'll do.
estimates, I believe it'll be far worse. Imagine, how do these trucks keep running? Like, how the trucks that pick up parts from a factory and take it to a warehouse, that keep the bits and pieces of our economy going, they can't run on a 61-cent liter carbon tax. They will simply be sold to the Americans, and all of the things they link together in our economy will just stop happening. It will be a catastrophic collapse if this carbon tax quadrupling goes ahead, as the NDP Liberals propose, and that is why it is a carbon tax election. It is the existential question of the election.
I know your staff's probably off camera wanting you to get going. I know you got a busy schedule. 2 more questions for you on housing and immigration, and I'll let you go, Pierre. I heard you say something that I hadn't heard before. You said you want to cap immigration and tie it to the housing supply. And I thought, but that's common sense. I know that's your slogan, is common sense. And the Liberals and the NDP are trying to attack you for saying you believe in common sense, but it sounded like that. Explain this idea a little bit for people watching.
People
Okay,
need
well,
houses.
I'll just
That's
start
the
with
idea.
the elemental fact that humans need homes. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if those humans are born in Canada or on the other side of the world. If they're here, they need a place to live. They need a roof over their heads. So if you add people faster than you build homes, you'll have a housing shortage. And that's what's
Magic.
happened. Last year,
Science.
we had the biggest population growth in Canadian history, 1.2 million. And we built fewer homes than we did back in 1972. So think about that. We built fewer homes last year than we did in 1972 when our population was half the size.
Unreal.
And so we've doubled the country size from 22 million to 41 million, and we're building fewer homes. That is mathematically impossible. It cannot go on. When I was housing minister in 2015, we built roughly one house for every 1.3
82.
new people that came to the country.
Papa.
So we were actually in a
Kappa.
housing surplus because we have roughly 2.5 people per house
54.
in Canada.
Ooh.
And so we were building houses
She's a
about
beauty.
twice as fast as we needed to. And that's why housing was affordable 10 years ago when I was housing minister. It was $900.
Got a young
$50
head.
for a single bedroom, about $1,100 for a 2-bedroom on average nationwide. Well, fast forward to the present, and you've got this monstrous population growth with declining home building. So what I'm saying is let's create a mathematical formula that sets this year's population growth based on last year's housing construction. So if just, there'll be more detail as we go forward, but just think of it this way. If we grow our housing stock by 2%, then we can't grow our population by more than 2%. It has to be less. And in doing so, we slowly chip away at the housing shortage and make sure everyone can afford a home.
It makes sense to me. I'm amazed it hasn't been thought of or put into practice before. Let me ask you about your housing plan to use federal lands. Justin Trudeau and the Liberals, when the Conservatives ran on this in 2019, they ridiculed the idea. When the Conservatives ran on this idea in 2021, they ridiculed the idea. When you started talking about it at your rallies, they ridiculed the idea. Now they're saying they want to do it. But, and here's the but, they don't want to sell the land to developers to build homes. They want to lease out the land. And they're also using very bizarre parcels. I mean, this is something that the Canada Land Company has been doing for years. I used to live onto a whole subdivision that was built behind my townhouse in Ottawa that was built on government land. But Justin Trudeau took your idea and said, let's do what Pierre's talking about, use government lands, but we'll lease it. You will own nothing and be happy, seems to be his philosophy on this. Why do you prefer your plan, which he says only helps greedy developers and screws over taxpayers? Why do you prefer your plan to his?
Well, because it gives Canadians what they want, which is to own a home. And this is a big, this is a really important insight into Justin Trudeau's radical ideology, where he says he admires Fidel Castro and the basic communist dictatorship, and he admires the WEF, which says you'll own nothing and be happy. He doesn't want you to own your home. He wants you to live in a government housing project. And so I'm saying, no, people want to actually buy the home and own the dirt and build a future, not live as a permanent tenant to the government in Ottawa. Can you imagine that? Like, Justin Trudeau wants you to be a tenant of the federal government. I want you to own your home. That's the big difference. So, Trudeau says private developers are scary. Well, every suburb in Canada was built by a private developer. Who does he think built Mississauga and Brampton and Barhaven and Southwest Calgary? Well, it was developers. And are they going to charge as much as they can? Yes, they will. And what stops them? Competition. Having as many developers as possible competing with each other for buyers. The more they're building, the more they have to lower their prices to sell their homes. So that's one of the reasons. When I say build the homes, it's actually not really great news for the developers because they have to compete more when there's more supply. It's good news for the buyer. So I want to rapidly sell off 15% of all federal buildings. That's 6,000 buildings and thousands upon thousands of acres of federal land. And I'll put a covenant on it that land and those buildings have to be turned into housing, or the government will get the land back. That's a basic covenant you can put on the sale of any asset. and we'll do it fast. That's how we're going to build the homes that people can buy. And my common sense plan: axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime.
All right, Parliament resumes Monday. Justin Trudeau says he's looking forward to mixing it up with you. I assume you feel the same way.
Well, there's no better way to mix it up than to have a big old carbon tax election. So, Justin, if you want to mix it up, let's call that carbon tax election and let's have a big choice for Canadians, a referendum. 61 cent a liter carbon tax under you, or axe the tax under Pierre Poilievre and the Common Sense Conservatives. Let's mix it up, Justin.
Pierre, thanks for the time. Talk soon.
All right. Thank you.
Because I'm listening
Let
to
us
Pierre.
know what you think about what you heard from Pierre Poilievre.
That's right. Anybody else talking some sense? Prefab home. Doesn't look like any of my favorite channels are covering my favorite topic. Yeah, how can you trust this guy? We can't trust that guy.
Mark Miller, his comments were like calling his fellow liberals entitled, and that's he's going to war with them.
Good channel. I'm going through some pennies, looking for copper ones, you know.
4 Liberal cabinet
Just
ministers
basically
resign.
sorting copper
Mark
from
Miller
non-copper
insults
and
his mutinous
listening
colleagues,
to some
and everyone in
politicals.
Trudeau's inner circle seems to
Those
be
the money
livid
grab.
that
Gotta
they
figure
can't
how to
figure
make
out who is
folks
no
feel
longer
better
bowing
about
down
them
to Justin
screws.
Trudeau.
Let's take a look.
Public and private calls for the Prime Minister to step down as party leader quickened the pulse of the Liberal caucus this week, and it had at least one cabinet minister in a fighting mood.
This is the most passive-aggressive, weak type of display of questioning of leadership that I've ever seen. The Prime Minister is colleagues with these individuals, if they are indeed in the numbers that are speculated to be. They owe it to him to go up and tell it to his face. At the end of the day, it makes this group of people look horribly entitled and worried about their own futures. Say it to your face. Let's clear it up and let's focus on the bigger threat, which is what we're currently doing, which is sleepwalking into a Pierre Poilievre win, who is only focused on himself and doesn't really care about this country.
Wow. Talk about
'Cause
burning bridges.
That's going to get these people on your side.
Right.
But this is the Liberal way. You know, gee, it almost feels like a tyranny. Just saying. But here's the interesting thing. So Warren Kinsella was actually telling a story on a video that I was watching earlier, and I found it very revealing. So he was saying that when Prime Minister Stephen Harper was Prime Minister, and he came home from work and was staying at the official residence of the Prime Minister, he would bring home,
throw
you
up
know,
in True
basically
North
papers
and
and
listen for a
papers and
while while
papers
I
of
go through
briefings
few rolls
as
of
his
pennies
homework,
that I
and he
have,
would
and
read all of
I don't
that.
know what
You
I'm looking
Prime
for,
Minister reading documents.
but I do know I
it's-
like to separate
It's
copper
unheard
from
of.
non-copper,
It's
so that's what
outlandish.
I'm doing right now.
Of
is
course,
just
the
throwing
Prime Minister
copper
reads any
separate.
documents he does receive.
Um,
Let's see what's
but
going on here.
so he would bring that home to
Turn
read,
that
and
the hell up.
that way he would be ready for his
What the
cabinet
heck is
meeting the
going
next
on
day.
here?
And the Prime Minister has
Turn that down a
a
little.
personal chef and different people around the house that will serve and that sort of thing, and that's fine. That's their job, and they get paid to do it. So they would serve
What
dinner
makes this
and the sort of thing.
change?
But the interesting thing is, Prime Minister Stephen Harper would send them home immediately after serving dinner. He would say, "Listen, I'm here with my family in my home. You need to go now and be with your family in your homes. Like, you don't work. Thanks for the dinner, and it's very lovely, but go be with your family."
Yeah, you don't have to dote upon me.
Right. So then he contrasted that with Justin Trudeau, who I guess regularly brings over 15 of his friends or buddies, and they stay over until the wee hours of the morning, where he makes the staff continue to wait on them and serve them until the wee hours of the morning. So it just reinforces this entitlement that Justin Trudeau obviously has had since
Justin
he's been
Trudeau
a
has no
little kid,
friends.
and
He has
that
to
everyone exists
serve them in
only
order
to
that they
serve
stay.
him. And he seems to view Canada as, you know, his personal bank account that gets to funnel money into him having vacations and everyone.
His projects
Oh,
and
yeah.
whatever he wants.
Yeah. And it made me respect Stephen Harper that much more when I heard that story. And it's such a contrast of, you know, humble, professional,
Now
and
we need to
responsible
get rid of our
versus
inept
basically
boy
a
king.
50-year-old kid
Take it
that
from
is
there.
running this country, or rather not running this country.
87. That's
And
copper.
he also said that Justin Trudeau sees himself more as a figurehead, and that Justin Trudeau has even said, well, the
2004.
prime minister is basically a figurehead. Well, no, the prime minister is actually the leader of the country and should be working all the time. You don't want to work all the time, then don't be the
2009.
prime minister of Canada.
Well, and if you're not working hard as the prime minister,
96,
that's a signal
gotcha.
to your
Copper,
ministers that they don't have to
copper.
work hard. And that's a
Copper,
signal to
copper,
their
copper.
secretaries that they don't have to work hard. And a signal to the backbenchers that they don't have to work hard.
Can you hear
And it
me
just
now
goes
over
on
the
and on and
program?
on.
And this is how you get a government that's as corrupt as it is. And this is maybe why, as we said in the other video, we feel like all these ministers just get their job and then put their feet up, smoking cigars and
Lol.
you know, drinking the whole time and not doing any work.
Looking
Because
for copper,
by the
copper,
sounds of it,
copper.
That's exactly what they do.
Copper.
So maybe that is what they do.
American. That
But I
goes in a
just found
different
it
pile.
very rich.
American.
And Mark Miller, who was a
American.
guest at Justin Trudeau's wedding, so he's been
That's
friends with him
copper.
for a long time, is saying that these people are entitled for criticizing
Copper, copper.
the
That's
prime minister.
copper.
And he's saying,
Copper,
well, this is such a
copper.
passive aggressive way. Well, apparently bringing their concerns to him directly
Ah.
before was never
I
taken
lost it.
seriously. And they were patted on the head and
That
shoved
ain't
off.
copper.
Well, they've tried talking to
No
him a
copper
couple
there.
times. They've tried speaking out publicly. So now they're going to be doing
No
it this
copper
way
there.
because the prime minister can't divide and conquer. And they can't figure out who it is because of the way that these people have
89.
actually done this. It's almost like,
Merkin?
you know, The Great
No.
Escape from
Merkins
one of
are
the World War II
fuzzy.
movies. And if you've seen that, great movie.
Fuzzy little
but
Merkin.
There's been zero leaks of the document. Nobody knows who's on there. Nobody knows who's really leading this.
No
There's
copper in that
speculation,
one.
but that's
Zinc.
it. So
It's a zinc.
I think
Isn't
this
that
is
what the alternate metal is?
a pretty
Zinc?
incredible statement from Mark Miller to just sit there and chastise all of these people who may say, oh yeah, fine. Yeah, you're going to treat us like that? Well, then
How about
maybe we'll vote
evening
not
out the
guilty.
seat
Or
count a
maybe
little bit
we'll
so
all
that
sit
we
independent.
matter?
And then you can sweat a little more. And then
How
you'll be
about
down
first
to
past the post?
120
We
people
should
in the Liberal
revisit that
Party
again, don't
instead
you
of
think?
150 odd. So that's the opening. Mark Miller. Wow.
Yeah.
Great job.
All
Great
kinds of
leadership,
things
buddy.
need to be
It's a
dealt
pretty
with.
blunt analysis from Mark
We'll
Miller.
see.
So are the Liberals headed for a major clash in caucus next week? Or
I know the
could
current guy likes
back down?
things just
So we'll
how they
start with
are.
the Political insiders.
I don't
And
like
look,
things
you've
just how they
all seen
are.
cabinet ministers on this show. They've
So
heard
for
about
no
it.
other
They
reason,
know people who may be involved.
actually
They're
for
not
tons of
denying
other
this is happening.
reasons,
It's a
but
question of how big it is.
I don't need any
and how
different
effective
reason
it
that
might be.
the way
The latest
things
idea
are
is that close to 30 names are now on
are
the
not
initial
the way
document, which
things
does have a
need to
clear
stay.
common pledge of the prime
If
minister
they
has
stay
to go.
this way,
They're
we're
now in the process of
fucked.
finalizing a letter of some sort.
A beautiful
that will go to the prime minister, either
1981.
before caucus or at caucus.
All the toning of being around since
their
then, but
clear demands.
no
What's
damage.
missing is a
Pretty,
clear
pretty,
ultimatum.
a pretty
What will we do?
picture.
Will we sit as independents? Will we vote non-confidence? None of that's there. But we
Little
might see some
black
activity
dot there.
between now and Wednesday as well to try to propel momentum on this.
Coppers.
So the cabinet is pushing back, Fred, but they don't know what they're pushing back against, really, right? They don't know the size, the scale, the strength of it. What do you think happens?
It's a fascinating civil war erupting here. You know, Trudeau's now fighting a two-front war. He's
Definitely.
against the Conservatives who are pounding him every day, and now he's fighting his own caucus. Mark Miller, his comments were like calling his fellow Liberals entitled, and that's he's going to war with them, and that's what's breaking out here. And his comment about sleepwalking into something like what. The Liberals feel like they've been sleepwalking for the last few years. So what are they like? The Trudeau team needs to put something forth, some kind of plan, some kind of this is how we're going to do
Merkin.
it. It feels like it may be way too late now. I don't know how you do this. And, I don't think you need an ultimatum other than 30 Liberal members of Parliament saying you
In
need
Gord
to go.
we trust.
That is going to be incredibly damaging as this continues to unfold over the next week or so.
Fred hit it right on on the head. It's a civil war.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what's going on, and cabinet is like
take
shooting
it.
their mouth off about it.
Yeah, just those remarks by Miller
95
were
also
just,
Kerper.
I
Kerper,
don't even know the
Kerper.
right word, grotesque, maybe. Like, you've got
Merkin.
this faction of Liberal MPs that
E
are quite
pluribus
clearly upset.
unum.
Their constituents are
Out of
upset, and that's why
many,
they're upset. And instead of
Unum.
looking at what they're saying and saying, maybe there's some truth to this, you're calling them
Unum.
entitled?
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, and remember when all of this was bubbling up after Toronto St. Paul's, allegedly Trudeau went around to all of these MPs and had a little conversation, joined the mini caucus meetings around the country. And
E pluribus.
from
Unum.
the understanding that we have, he said, okay, we'll look at making some leadership changes.
2000
Okay, we're going to do
party's
this.
over,
Okay,
now
we're
we're
gonna do
out
that.
of time.
And after
Tonight we're
their
gonna
national
party
campaign
like it's
director, stepped down,
1999.
everyone was waiting for that to be replaced,
Or
and it didn't happen.
And it's happened
2009.
now,
It happened
but
this week, but
yeah,
after
it took
Or-
a long time, longer than it should have, especially in a minority
2005.
government where they could go to an election
Or-
at any time.
well, it only happened after news of this letter broke. So
First
you
things
basically
first.
have Justin
Get
Trudeau,
rid of the boy
surprise,
king.
surprise, patting these people on the head. and
Last
saying,
year
"Oh,
of
yeah, don't
copper,
worry,
96.
Uncle Justin's going to
So
take care of
she's a
everything."
copper,
and then just ignores it and does nothing. So
And she
what
looks
do you
good
expect
too.
these people
Well,
to do
I
the
mean,
second
no,
time
not
around?
anymore.
Or maybe it's even
Big
the third
splotch
because
on her
we haven't
face
heard of
there.
anything
Well,
else.
Well, and I do want to
Above
say
her
that I'm not
nose.
exactly happy
But it's a
with
copper.
these
Goes in the
MPs
copper
that
pile.
have decided to form their own faction and try to oust Trudeau.
98.
I feel like it's too little too late.
Zinky
The
pinky.
optics are that now that you have your constituents telling you that, well, I would vote for you again, but I don't want Trudeau, to be prime minister still. It seems like they're just trying to save their own jobs. They were content to vote against the best interests of Canadians for the past 9 years. And now that they're going to lose their jobs, they want Trudeau out. At least that's what it looks like from where I'm sitting.
Yeah, it's self-serving at this
Yeah.
point.
Anyone?
So
We'll take that one.
so there's no sympathy. It's just fascinating
97.
to watch
She's a
the
year off.
implosion
Zinky
of
pinky.
the party in power going on right now. So
96
this
and
is
later
fascinating to
we're
see.
looking for.
And now you have these 4 cabinet ministers resigning, so that adds some complexity here. And is that was that managed in order to kind of try and stall this caucus event that's going to happen next week? Not sure. Only Justin Trudeau knows that.
Well, and I don't know, I haven't looked at the polling for all of them, but I have for Philomena Tassi, who is in, we affectionately call it HWAD. It was actually the riding that Ryan was considering running in before he messed up his knee. And the polls there are going conservative, thank goodness. So it makes me wonder if Philomena Tassi is stepping down from cabinet or retiring from cabinet, and it sounds like not running again because she knows she doesn't have a very good chance of winning.
Well, and if she were running, she'd be running against a phenomenal conservative candidate, Erica Alexander, who's the granddaughter of Lincoln Alexander. And for those of you who may not know who Lincoln Alexander is, was a very prominent politician, and they named the Lincoln Alexander Parkway after him. So, very storied family in the Hamilton and Stony Creek area. So, phenomenal candidate, and I'm glad she's the one that's actually running. I think she'd do a better job than I would, frankly. So,
No offense, but I think so too.
yeah, 100%. So we're completely behind Erica in winning that riding whenever the election happens. But some of these ministers have decided to go on CTV
All right.
and talk about this.
Roll we're through.
Maybe not such a great idea.
It was a parade of cabinet ministers today praising the prime minister and giving Justin Trudeau their unwavering
Got a
support.
little more
It comes after
copper out
4
of that.
ministers announced they will
All of
not
these
be
ones.
running in the next
So
election.
we're going to put them in
They
the
are
holder here.
Bibeau, Philomena
Nice
Tassi,
thing about this
Dan
holder is it
Vandel,
divides
and
it up
Carla
into
Qualtrough.
fives.
Those
And
announcements
I only
come
have
as
so
the
many
2
of
other
these,
members
so I'm
of
going to
Trudeau's
put
inner
all
circle
of the
also left the federal
copper
party.
ones
James O'Regan has
exclusively in
decided to
these
spend more time
holders,
with
and
his
then I will
family,
know
while Pablo
that if
Rodriguez
it's in
is
a
seeking
pink
the leadership
holder,
of the Quebec
then
Liberal
it's
Party.
copper.
Joining me now to talk about her decision to step away from
There,
cabinet
see, pink
is the
holder.
Minister of Sport and Physical Activity,
We have
Carla
another pink
Qualtrough.
holder here.
Hi, Minister. Thanks so much for joining us.
We have a
Thanks
couple
for
of
having
empty
me.
paper rolls
CTV
over
News
there.
did reach out to your office to ask whether or not you'd be running in the next election.
Got
This was
another
back in
pink
October.
holder
And on
right
October
here.
7th, your office responded, quote, Minister Qualtrough has
But
said she is running in the next federal
it is
election. So
unsorted.
10
we're
days
gonna
later,
dump it out.
your statement came out saying
Dump
that
it
it's
out. Dump
time
it
to
out.
step
Way
aside.
to
It's
go.
time to move on.
Grab
So I
one
wanted
of-
to know
oh,
what changed in
not
that time.
Filled.
Well, to be honest, like nothing changed, but at that point, I hadn't confided in my staff. I hadn't had my final conversation with the Prime Minister. My kind of position was I was running until I made a final decision not to. And so nothing really changed. This has been a long time coming for me after 3 elections in 9 years. And
So many
I
pennies
felt
to
that,
go through, but
you know, I had done
make a
the
little
work
dent in it
to-
while I sort them
to
into
put in
the,
place
as I
an option
say,
for
the
myself to run again, and I
copper
was
and
running until I wasn't.
non-copper
Do you
category.
believe that?
That's a very
And we'll
non.
take it from there.
answer.
Everything older than
at least
96.
the other lies that
is
the other ones told me,
copper.
well, you know, I want to spend more time with
And
my
the stuff
family. At
after
least it's an
96
answer.
Well, it
is
might not be a
not.
lie, but it could be a partial
So-
truth.
Easy
Well, I'm running
enough
until I'm
to
not. Oh, you mean the
No,
other
I
ones?
mean,
Get
I
that
mean, you know, I want to
sorted
spend more
out.
time with my family because
just
I mean,
tedious, right?
we do see in the MPs that we know that
Let's
a
keep
lot
on
of the
going
time
one
is spent
penny at a time.
working on the job, right?
Till
They're either
you're
in
done.
Ottawa, away from their family, or they're in their
When
constituencies,
they're going to be done?
helping their constituents
When
and
there are
attending
no
events.
more pennies.
And unfortunately, sometimes family
But
is
when are there going to be
not
no
always
more
in the
pennies?
picture. Like they're not
Never.
the priority. And again, that was, I think, one of the reasons that Ryan had decided not to run was because our son and me would have been left alone a good chunk of the time, and also our son needs
There
all the
will
attention
never
that he can
be
get from both of
no
us right
more
now.
pennies.
Yeah.
We
So
will find them
so
wherever
it's
they may
challenging
be.
being a member of parliament.
Whoever's
because
got them
even
will
when
pass
you're
on.
home,
They will
you
pass
are-
those
you are
on to
expected
me.
To be at events
We will
almost
have your
every day,
pennies.
and
We will keep your
usually
pennies.
it's at least 2, 3,
1980,
4
that's
events
copper
a
penny.
day. So
I don't expect that these ministers are lying when they
Ooh,
say they want to
78,
spend more
another
time
copper
with their
penny.
family. I just have a sneaking suspicion
Merkin.
that that's not the whole reason.
yeah, the primary
2008
driver, right?
D.
Especially when it
Got the
seems to
D.
come out of the woodwork, and she's like, "Oh, well, this has been a
Americans are
long time
giving me
coming."
the
What do you
D.
mean a long time coming. Then why did you go the other elections? Like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
That's like
you
calling
know,
in 2000
CTV
or
says, well, you know, when you
1992. That's
contacted
going to be
their office in early October. They said you're running. Okay, fine. You know, that's plausible
2005,
because
no
she
copper
may
in
have
that
made
one.
the decision but hadn't told her team yet and wanted the prime minister to know.
9 to
before she told
4.
her to.
That's
That's all fair.
copper.
Well, and sometimes it's very sudden, as you know. It's very sudden to want to pull out of running.
2010.
but at least make it a
no
good
copper
reason.
there.
And what was that conversation like with the Prime Minister, and when did you have it?
Well, as I said, it's been a series of conversations over
1994.
many, many years in terms of
Definitely
talking to the Prime
copper
Minister
there.
about the realities of being a BC MP, being a mom with young kids,
78.
the kind
I'll
of
take it.
the lived experience of the travel and the goodbyes and the tears and the anxiety and the public scrutiny for my family. And
86,
just in
that's
the
a
past
copper.
probably 6 months, we've had some pretty candid conversations
2009.
about what my future would look like. And then finally, I'd
96.
say,
Last
I
year
guess it
of
wasn't
the
till
copper
early
penny.
October that I went and told him, you know, it's time. And of course, he stated a strong preference for me to stay, but he understood, and he'd seen how tough this had become.
2003.
But you know, it's been an incredible ride.
Okay, so she said that this has been
2012.
coming for many, many years, and she said, "Oh, it wasn't October when I made the decision." But then she just said, "But when in early October, I then made the decision."
2002.
So, okay, that's fine. I think everybody knows what it is. It's
2010.
sure you probably miss your family, but yeah, it's the polls. You know, you're 20
2007.
points down. You know, you're losing your riding. So,
2006.
you know, what else? What else? And you've also been saying, "Oh, you know, I've been
2005,
talking
but
to
can
the
I
Prime
keep
Minister
on
about
getting
this
them
for
in
many,
order?
many
Is it going to
years."
be
Well, that doesn't
2004? I
make
doubt
sense.
it.
Why would Trudeau keep a
You can't have
person
it like
in
that, can
cabinet
it?
that for years has been
94.
saying, "I don't
Take
know if
it.
I'm going to keep this up very long"? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
2008.
But you know, there's not a lot that the Liberal government says that does make sense. And then she's also saying, "Oh well, you know, my family gets a lot of public scrutiny. I get public
1991.
scrutiny." Well, when you completely screw up the country, yeah, you're going to get public scrutiny. Sorry, people are going to get ticked off about that.
Well, and I have a friend who used to
81,
work
yeah.
on Parliament Hill. She's not an MP or anything, but she did used to work on the Hill. And one of the things she says
Time
is
for a brief break.
Parliament
Brief break.
has a way of changing you and not always for the better. So, I mean, it's possible that these MPs have just been there for so long and either they've seen how they've changed or they are worried about changing and they're just like, you know what, I'm done.
Well, that's a possibility. That would indicate that there's some sort of character there, and maybe there is, but the timing of everything is just very odd, right? It's October of this year. It's right after the Liberal caucus revolt starts. It's during this period where Trudeau is in a free fall. It's during this period where Parliament is in a gridlock. It's frozen. The NDP tore up their supply confidence agreement. The Bloc is now basically saying that we are going to be actively trying to bring down this government. And now all of a sudden it's like, I think for no other reason at all, I think it's just time to go. I don't buy it.
Is it because you didn't feel like you had a proper future within the party that you decided to walk away?
Oh my goodness, no, it is totally because it's been 3 elections, 9 years. I actually think the Prime Minister would have me on his team for as long as I would stay. We have a great relationship. I hope I build a reputation of being hardworking and a good advisor and candid and sometimes challenging. But no. It absolutely to do with it's just run its course and my family needs me here in Delta.
Yeah, and they say timing is everything, but you are leaving at a time when the Liberals trail the Conservatives by about 20 points in opinion polls. And there are sources that are telling CTV News there are a number of MPs ready to give the Prime Minister a letter telling him that it's time to go. The Liberals did this summer lose 2 by-elections. Does this decision have anything to do with the possibility or even probability of you losing your seat out in BC?
To be honest, quite the opposite. I think it made it more difficult for me to walk away. I would have put that in the column of reasons to stay, is to fight in the next election, to how important I think the next election is going to be, the risk that I think there is of losing the progress we've made as a government. Absolutely. I think I would have. I mean, this was coming, Mike. This isn't reactionary at all. Whatever the polls were, I actually feel like if the polls had been higher, it would have been easier to walk away, knowing Delta would be in good hands and knowing the country was headed in a good direction. I don't know, maybe that's a bit, I don't know, but I feel like it made the decision more difficult.
What progress?
Maybe she means negative progress. Like,
that was just such a bizarre answer. And
this is why Canadians are so ticked off at these Liberals, because it's like, you are so out of touch with how people are doing. And meanwhile, she's like, oh, the country's going great. And, I don't want to lose all this great progress. Like,
please, let's lose all this great progress. Let's go back to the way things were when Harper left.
Yeah, let's revert. Let's go back to slumming it up with a prosperous middle class, slumming it up with affordable homes, slumming it up with good wages, slumming it up with a manageable immigration system,
and slumming it up with, criminals that stay in jail.
And, those terrible days when there's no tents on the street, people are actually living in homes.
Canadians are prosperous.
Dimebag there in the world headquarters here.
I want bring back those terrible days, everybody.
We are looking at a pile.
And this lady says, "Well,
1 penny.
If Canada was going to be on a great trajectory, that would have made it
words
easier
you
for
like
me."
to use to describe your pennies.
Okay, so you're part of the government that completely destroyed this country, and now you just want to sneak out the back door.
Sounds like it.
But she's saying, "Oh, well, the fact that I was going to lose my election, that makes me want to run in the next one." I'm sure. I'm sure.
It really was a garbage answer.
Look at all these people lining up to run as a Liberal in the next election in these seats that are like guaranteed to go blue. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lineup around the block.
So how concerned are you about the next election then?
Anyway.
First of all, I think that Canada would continue to be better off with a Liberal government. I actually believe we can turn it around. I think that, what I hear here in Delta is a whole range of views between, support for the Prime Minister and the government and blaming the Prime Minister and the government for everything.
Not red or anything.
And I think that there's a lot of work to kind of change the channel and get back to the business of running the country and cut through the noise. But I think it can be done. And I think I don't even know how to describe it. Once we get back to the core of what we've done and what we want to do for the country, I think we can turn this around.
Okay, well, at least one good thing about the Liberal Party not having this lady run the next election is they're losing one of the delusional ones.
All these cabinet ministers are the delusional ones, and that's why they're in cabinet.
Yeah, because they have done the salute and said, I will parrot the talking points of the Führer. Thank you very much. That's what they're doing.
Well, they don't question, they don't push back. It's just yes sir, no sir. Whatever you want, Justin.
We talk about Trudeau surrounding himself with weak people so nobody challenges him. They're acolytes. And it seems like the people that are willing to challenge him are not in his inner circle. And you know what? That's what really bad leaders. And it seems like the people that are leaders, the best people. And you know what? That's what really bad leaders. They may not like being challenged, but they know the value of being challenged. And there's a difference in that. So you want people that is going to say, Justin, that's a bad thing. Oh, no, it's fine. No, Justin, that's a really bad thing to do. And it's to make them think twice and give them all the information they need to perhaps make the best decision. And it's not necessarily going to be a decision that feels nice, but it's going to be the best one.
So then I guess the question is that if you believe if you get back to the core of what you've been doing, then why hasn't that resonated with Canadians? Is it a communications issue? Is it the messenger that is the wrong one now for Canadians at this time?
I think it's the challenge of having governed for 9 years. I think it's the kind of heightened anxiety just that exists writ large across the country, the uncertainty of these times. I think we have to have important conversations.
Well, in that case,
getting back to your reference to what's going on within our own caucus, I really believe that we need to have those frank conversations with caucus, and we need to all 100% get on the same page about this. And because if we can't, as a group of 150, how can we expect 40 million people to follow us anywhere?
When you say on the same page, what is the page that you're on right now?
And it's the penny that is also mine. It's going to go into the pile of copper. That is only proper. We go into the pile of copper.
Well, a couple of things in that question. First of all, I think that we need to have these conversations.
This penny's upside down, but when your number is 1-1, it doesn't matter. That's 1-1. It's easy to read upside down as it is right side up. It's the perfect upside down number. Number 11.
More than frustrated, I don't know bigger words to describe when things leak from our caucus, because what happens then is people aren't frank in caucus, and then we don't hear the candor we need as a cabinet
honestly,
and
I
as
should
the Prime
be looking
Minister
at these more
to course correct, to pivot, to make the difficult decisions and move forward.
Nice?
But I think people got to start having these, staying within the confines of caucus. There are other avenues.
Sort of
talk
goes
to
away
cabinet,
on
talk
this
to
side,
PM
huh?
directly, talk to the party.
All right, it's copper.
But secondly, around the PM's leadership, I believe very strongly that the Prime Minister has the best interest of the country, and the Liberal Party itself at heart.
Freudian slip.
Right. But, she's saying, talk to cabinet, talk to caucus, talk to the Prime Minister. Would any of you even listen?
Well, the reports is that they've done that.
Right, and the reports are, at least from what we've heard, is that Justin Trudeau does not respect anybody outside the cabinet. He does not respect his caucus. He doesn't care what they think.
He's the
leader, and you should listen to him.
It ain't old.
That's
it ain't old, it ain't copper, and it ain't old or copper. 2012.
And he doesn't want to hear anything. So
94.
No doubt they've tried. And they've tried talking to the party, they've tried talking to the Prime Minister, they've tried talking to caucus. This is CSIS all over again, okay? So, you Liberal backbenchers, now put yourself in the role of the CSIS whistleblower.
Because I call the other,
exactly
grandma head a matron head.
So it's fantastic that this is actually history repeating itself within a year. you have a government institution that has been funneling all kinds of intelligence over to the government, and they're sitting there saying for years, why is nobody listening? Why is nobody listening? Why is nobody listening? It's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And then finally, because nobody listens, and they've gone through all of the regular channels and legal channels that they're supposed to, they are so concerned about their country that they're saying, fine, I'm going to break the law because I swore an oath to protect this country, and country comes first.
Couple years
so then you have this
into
happen.
the Zinc
Now you have these liberal backbenchers that
unfortunately,
no doubt have been
which ended in
going through the
96.
regular channels, and nobody's listening. And then they finally said, you know what? This isn't the way we normally do things, but
29.
we've tried everything else. Nobody's listening. We're just being swatted
Ooh,
down.
it's a
So now we're
United
going to go
States
this
of
route. It's almost the
pluribus.
exact same thing that
Pluribus
happened
of the unum.
with CSIS.
Oh, got a little
But it's within
splotch
the
there on the
Liberal
right
Party.
hand side.
So if you need any other
Upside
proof
down.
of where
Is that
the
like
problem
flying the
is,
flag upside down?
you have it. It is Justin Trudeau
1993
and his cabinet
Flying
and his
upside
policies.
down for thee.
Period.
Well, that's a story that's over. Heat pump the future.
Well, I'm pumped. What if I were to tell you that all of the energy
Let's see what
you
happens
need
if
to
I
heat
just
your
run
home
this
on
for a
cold
while.
winter day could be found
This is from a
just
channel called
outside.
Technology
And that if you
Connections,
could
and
capture the
Technology
energy out
Connections
there
is a
and
great
move it
channel.
inside your
Perhaps
home,
if I
you
talk
could make
directly
yourself
over it,
comfortable using
we
a
won't
fraction
match
of the energy of
copyrights
other methods.
and
Sounds
whatever. I
impossible
don't
at
know.
first, doesn't
I don't
it?
really
If
care.
it's colder
Not
outside than in,
monetized, so I don't
what
think it
heat
matters.
is there to take?
And this guy's
But
really
it's
cool.
very
I don't know if
possible.
he has
And thanks to
the
heat pumps, we can do it
say
right now.
on, like if he
And that's what this
personally,
video
I
is
don't know,
all about.
whatever.
Heat
Watch
pumps
this
are
channel too.
simultaneously
Technology
a very
Connections.
old yet also emerging home heating technology.
I like this guy.
Using a heat pump under ideal conditions requires as
Anyway.
little as 1/5 the energy
So if you
of
don't know
ordinary
Technology
electric heat.
Connection, consider
With a
yourself
coefficient of
connected.
performance of 2.5 or greater,
If you
a
don't
heat
sub
pump will
up,
produce
consider
more
yourself
heat for
dumb.
you per unit of fuel
1980.
burned in
This
a
is
power
filthy.
plant than you could get by burning that fuel on site in your
There you
home.
go.
This tremendous efficiency all but guarantees
Merca.
that the heat pump is the heating technology
E
of the
pluribus.
future. But what is a heat pump? Well, here's where we need to talk about
just
some
got one.
terminology and also
Not
who
working
the
yet
primary
because
audience
the,
of this video is. I'm
the
making this
electrical
video
part for it isn't
mostly
hooked
for an
up yet.
American
It's all
audience
plumbed in or
because
whatever,
we've gone
but it
about
still
this
needs
in
to
a
be
weird
wired.
way. We've had air conditioning in a
And
lot
there's
of
no more
homes
room
and
in my
cars, for that
breaker
matter,
box.
for a very long time now. Air conditioning has been more or less
So
standard
they have to
equipment in
put in
American
a
homes for more than
sub-panel.
50 years, even in a climate like mine
I'm
where
not sure
winters
what
can
to
be
make of
brutally
that,
cold.
honestly.
And in places like the southern
I don't
US,
think that they
air
considered the
conditioning is
need for a
practically a
sub panel in
requirement
the
for basic
original
survival.
quote.
And the thing is, air conditioners are heat pumps. Yet heat
But they
pumps,
did include
especially in regions like
installation.
mine, are a rather new thing.
I don't
Confused
think
yet?
installation is
Well, in
installation
some other parts
without
of the world, what we
electricity.
call a heat pump is referred to as a reverse cycle air conditioner. And that should give you a pretty solid idea of what's going on.
That's
But
not
because
the
this wouldn't
ugliest
be
point.
technology
I mean,
connections
it's
without an explanation of the refrigeration
obviously
cycle,
not a
let's get down and dirty in the
copper.
nitty-gritty of latent
There's
heat
a little
and the
ding
magic
right
of
there on the
refrigerants. If you'd
top
like to skip this
1
part,
o'clock
skip
point
to
there.
7 minutes, 38 seconds.
But
let's
there's a
start
few
with
nice
a
things
refrigerator.
about it that
Nearly everyone has one of
make me
those.
want to look at it a
What
little
does your
longer.
refrigerator
So
or freezer do
for
exactly?
that, from that point of
Well,
view,
it
I'm going
needs
to
to
kick
make
that one
its
up to the
insides
top, just
colder than
because
its
we're looking at.
outsides.
I
That's
actually have
trickier
a
to
penny
accomplish
book
than it seems at first glance.
somewhere,
It has to get heat
so we can
energy
look at
out
that.
of itself.
E
See, that's the
pluribus
thing about temperature. What we
unum.
call temperature is really the concentration of heat energy in a given space. If there's a lot of energy
E
crammed into space,
herbalist.
it's hot.
E herbalist
If
unum.
the energy is really spread out, it's cold. And thanks to
2003.
entropy, energy
That's
always
no
wants to
copper.
spread out or move from areas of high
All
concentration
right.
to low
Ooh, that's a
concentration.
filthy one.
This
2009, no
freezer's
copper.
insides are at about 5
No
degrees
copper.
below zero, but the room it's sitting in is much warmer than that, about 65 degrees. Because the energy around the freezer is more concentrated, ambient energy wants to spill
All right.
into it. Wherever there's a temperature
Well, those are
gradient,
the coppers. We're going to
nature
put
is
them
hot
in
and
the pink
bothered,
holder.
frankly, and would very much like it to achieve equilibrium. So eventually, the insides of the freezer will
There's
warm
in
up.
the pink
We
holder.
can slow that down
The
by
pink
adding a
holder
whole
counts
bunch
them
of
by
insulation
5,
or tweaking its design.
which is all
In
right, you
fact,
know.
this freezer and this footage
You
was
don't even
featured
have
in a
to
video
count 'em.
discussing that very
You ever
topic.
take your
But
box
eventually,
of
we need
coins
to
back
work to
to the
reverse this
bank
process and keep its
and
insides
you've
cold relative to its
got all
outsides.
the like
And to do that, we use a heat pump. A refrigeration system collects heat energy in one place and disperses it in another. It pumps
some
heat.
sorting machine handle
We'll
it
get
or
into
whatever.
how
I'm
it does
not
that
sure.
shortly. But the key thing I want you to
But
recognize
here,
here
if
is
you want
that
to be
even
welcome
though the
at the
inside
bank,
is very
you
cold,
can't
there
show up
is
with a
heat
bunch of
energy in
unwrapped
there.
coins. You got
The
to wrap
freezer's
those
heat pump is
yourself
collecting it
over
from a
certain
very cold place,
denominations.
yet in doing
So
so, it creates warmth. The sides of the freezer get warm when it's running,
bring
and
back
that's
a
the
full
heat it pulled
box
from
of
inside
full
itself being
rolls
rejected into the surrounding
that are
air.
all full to the
What
top
makes
and
this possible
obvious
is a
for them,
refrigerant.
and you're dealing with a
Refrigerants are
place like a
gaseous
bank
chemical
branch that you've
compounds
dealt
with a
with before,
particularly useful
so you're
property,
likely already
easy to
actually
manipulate
known
boiling points.
by
For
the
example,
teller.
R134A boils at
Yet
15 below zero, or minus
they
26
count the
Celsius.
number of rolls in the
That's
full
quite
box.
cold, but
I
here's a
mean,
can of it.
if it's
It's
a
a
Toonie
liquid
roll
in here.
box,
How
then
can
it's
that be?
$1,000 box
Well,
with
like
20
any
rolls in
chemical,
it,
its
2
boiling
rolls
point
a
is
can,
affected by ambient pressure.
just like that.
You know how the boiling point of
And
water
they're
is
all
defined
there
at sea
because
level?
there's no
That's
missing
because higher up in the atmosphere,
spot.
where there's less atmospheric
And the
pressure,
same
it's
for a
easier for
dollar.
water to
If
boil.
you've got the
A
loonie
rather
or
crude
dollar
way to think
coin,
about it is
you're
that being
getting
under pressure
4 rolls
squeezes
of
all the
10.
molecules together,
Four
and that force provides an
rows
additional
of
barrier to
10. Sorry,
changing
row,
phases from liquid to
R-O-W.
gas. When there's less pressure,
So if the
it can
whole
change
box
phases a
is
bit more
full,
easily, which
provided none of
lowers the
them seem
amount
to
of
be
heat energy
short
it needs to
in
start boiling,
stature,
and thus its boiling point.
then
When there's more pressure,
yeah, you
everything
don't
is
need
held
to count
tightly
the
together, and
40.
the opposite occurs. Its
No,
boiling point goes up.
why that
Because this
happens?
is trapped in this
All
can,
right.
it's under higher pressure and can remain a liquid.
Well, I have
But
more.
when anything
So
changes
let's
phases,
get
it needs
get
to
at it,
absorb
shall
or
we?
release heat
The
as
only way
it
you
does
can get
so.
through a whole
This
pile of
latent heat isn't
pennies,
something we can
coppers,
feel
whatever you like
directly,
to call
but
them,
it is a tremendous amount of
cents,
energy. For example, getting a
cents,
given quantity of water to vaporize takes about 7
is to
times as
just
much
do it.
energy as it does to bring it from room temperature to
So
its
we've got
boiling
50
point.
more to look
In
at
other
here.
words, if it took 10 minutes to bring a pot of water to boil
50
on high heat,
opportunities to
it will
catch
take
more
70
copper,
minutes on top of
50
that for it
opportunities
to all boil
to
away. That extra energy is being used to free the molecules from their liquid phase into the vapor
find
phase,
something
but it
particularly
doesn't make
nice,
the
which
water any
doesn't happen
hotter.
very
This is,
often.
incidentally,
We'll start
the
with
principle
that.
on which automatic
In
rice cookers work.
1981,
Another plug? Why,
a bit
yes!
dirty, sure.
How about a third one? We just saw what the release of latent heat is like in the reusable hand warmer video. Simply by
What's that
falling from
actually
the liquid
worth
phase into the
anyway?
solid, the sodium
I mean,
acetate
in
gets hot.
1981,
Its latent heat of fusion
penny
is being released as it
in
crystallizes,
Ukraine
which means
here.
it gets warm, about as warm as its melting point. To reset it, you put a solid hand warmer in boiling water where, now that it's colder than its surroundings,
So
heat
81
will
pennies
spill into
worth
it,
3
causing it to
cents
melt.
across the
As
board,
it does so, it
unless
reabsorbs its latent heat
it's
of
an
fusion,
almost
and thanks to the fact that it can be
uncirculated
super cooled
50
without freezing,
value
it can
that you
store
would
it
give
for
that
later
coin,
use.
and then it is
Refrigerants, just like water
4
and sodium
cents.
acetate, have to absorb and
So you
release
can
latent
assume
heat
there's
to
3
change
cents
phases.
in copper
What
going
makes
down
them
there.
useful is that thanks to their flexible
Now,
boiling points, we can
so
force
if I
this to
look at the
happen and use it to our advantage.
97,
All we need to do is create a machine which allows us
I
to
know you can't
manipulate
see
the
this,
ambient
I'll be real
pressure
quick.
the refrigerant
I'm going to
experiences.
say what I see anyway.
Refrigeration systems are
97.
nothing more than a closed loop of
Now
piping
that's the
filled
first
with a
year of,
refrigerant
as
that
far as
exports
I
its
know, the
latent
first
heat
year
for
of the
vaporization
copper
to
plated
move
zinc,
energy.
which is what it says
Using
on
a compressor
Canada,
to create a pressure gradient
coinsincanada.com.
allows us to force the
And looking
refrigerant
at
to
it,
condense,
it
thus releasing its latent
then
heat
gives
of
values
vaporization.
below,
We can
and
then force
all the
it
way
to
up to an
evaporate and
AU50,
reabsorb its
there
latent
is
heat.
no
Do this in 2 different
value
locations. You
beyond
pump
its
heat energy
face
across the
value.
thermal barrier.
Now,
Now I'd like to show you what this looks like. Those of you that skipped to here, welcome back. We're still talking about how refrigeration works, but I wanted you back for this.
really?
Thanks to a student at Front Range Community College's Center for Integrated Manufacturing who had hands-on learning with these, I have some great
In
footage to
Mint
share of a
State
refrigeration
60,
demo rig. This is used to demonstrate all
it's
sorts of
10
refrigeration
cents. In a
technologies and
62,
learn how
it's
to troubleshoot them.
25.
But for now,
In a
I just want to highlight
63,
the
it's
basics.
55.
Inside these
In a
pipes is a
64, it's
refrigerant. If you
750.
follow
In
them,
a
you'll see that they
65,
form a
it's
circuit. The
1770.
compressor is the heart
Now,
of
a
any
Mint State
refrigeration system.
65
It does does pump after all,
That's pretty
and it's
damn
right
good.
here. Hermetic refers to
I
the
think a
fact that a black
63
canister
is
hermetically seals
like
an
pretty
envelope
in
for the
most
mechanical
people's
compressor
books
and its
kind of
motor
thing.
to sit
But
inside without
so
letting
this
the
thing can
refrigerant
go up
escape.
to
On the left
I
and
guess
right
as
are
far
two
as they've
heat
seen so
exchangers.
far,
These are the
Mid-State
evaporator and the condenser.
67
They are also the
at nearly
condenser and the
$100,
evaporator.
94th
See, they're
version
labeled both
Canadian
because they are.
doll
This
hairs.
rig's operation is reversible, meaning whether the heat exchanger
We
is an
haven't got
evaporator
one
or a
of those.
condenser is arbitrary. We'll see how
And as
that
I
works
say,
in practice
this is
shortly.
a
But what's really neat
pricing
about this
for
rig is that we can see liquid refrigerant traveling through it.
pricing
Many
for
refrigeration
a
systems
zinc
will have a sight
penny.
glass like this, which is useful for diagnostics.
How
But
can
glass
things
piping,
go for an
that's
81
a
since we
rarity.
took it so
The
far?
refrigerant is only able to liquefy
If you
because
have
the
that
pressure in this
81,
pipe is fairly high.
81,
It first entered the compressor as a
and you
low
got
pressure
it in
gas,
Mid-State.
but being squeezed into the high pressure side raised its boiling point well above the ambient
Well,
temperature. The act of
the
compression
10
also
cent
made it
coin
quite
in
hot.
60, a
The
25
job
cent
of the
coin in
condenser is to
62,
cool it back down.
$3
And
and
it does
40
this by
in
forcing
63.
air
So
through
there's your
densely
big
packed
jump
metal
right
fins
there.
attached to the copper
Having a
piping.
Mid-State
This forms a heat exchanger with a
6381.
large surface area to help transfer heat in the
You're
refrigerant
in the
to
money.
the air.
From there on,
At
it
this
gets nutty,
pressure,
right?
if
Goes
the
to
refrigerant were
1140 for
R134A,
64,
its boiling point would be
2290 for a
raised to about
65,
130 degrees
and
Fahrenheit, much
$164
higher
for
than
a
the ambient air
66. No
temperature.
others mentioned.
After
So
exiting the
once
compressor,
again,
it's hotter than even
the
that,
Ukrainians
but
spend
airflow through the
Dulux,
heat
or should I
exchanger
say
helps
Canadian
cool it
money.
down.
But
Once the refrigerant has
yeah,
cooled to its
if
artificially
you can
raised
find a
boiling point,
Mid-State
it will start
63,
to
you're
condense. And as it
doing
does
well.
that,
I
it releases
not,
a
I was
latent
going to say, I
vaporization.
suppose.
Now,
But
even more energy is being released from
that's
the
not the
refrigerant,
case here.
and it
What
will
we've
stay
got here
near
is
its boiling
definitely
point
not that.
until the gas has
Fair
condensed
enough.
into a liquid.
Still a
The
copper,
upshot
and the
is
very
that the
first one we
condenser
looked at
gets
out of this
very
batch of
hot.
50, and
But
that
where did
bodes
that
well.
heat
We might
energy
as well
come
start off
from?
with a copper
Well, some of it
and back
came
it
from
up
the
with
act of
another one right
compression
away
itself.
at
Simply
84.
compressing a gas makes it
If
hot
you're joining
because
me
you've
now up in
squeezed
the
its
corner,
thermal
I
energy
have
into a smaller
Technology
space.
Connections.
But most of
Please
it
go to
came
his
from the
channel and
refrigerant
sub.
itself mere moments
You'll
ago.
like it.
See, after it's
Covers a
all
lot
a
of really
liquid,
cool
it
things.
gets
That's a
held back
zinky
by some
pinky.
sort of metering device
Ooh,
at
what
the
do we
end
have
of the
here?
condenser.
Nathan
There are various
Chapman.
types of metering device out there, the simplest of
Oh,
which is
she's
the
a young
catalytic
head,
chamber,
don't you
and
know?
their job is to create a restriction in
Got
the
a couple of
refrigerant flow,
slashes.
and
Somebody
thus
went out there with
maintain
the
the pressure
knife.
gradient we rely
That's
on to make
just
this
not
all
right.
work. Once the liquid
You
refrigerant
can't go
goes in
up
through the metering
against
device,
the
it
queen
finds
with the
itself
knife.
in
She's
another
very
heat exchanger,
resilient.
just like the
It is
condenser.
incredibly
But
wrong to
here,
do.
the pressure is very low
Okay,
thanks to
what
the
do we got?
suction on the input
A
side of the compressor.
55.
What
Oh.
exactly the
Well, it's
pressure
got
is
some
depends on the
bashes
refrigerant
around the
used
corners
and
there
also
and whatnot.
conditions, but the pressure
But
is
that's
low
a
enough
nice
that the
looking
boiling point of
55.
the
And
refrigerant will
I mean,
plummet to below ambient temperature.
nice
For the sake
looking.
of
I guess
explanation,
what
we'll
I mean
assume
when
it's
I say
clear
nice
degrees.
looking is if I
And
see
here's
the
the key.
dirt of the
To
ages
boil,
on it,
the refrigerant
that's
has
not
to
so
absorb
much a
its latent heat of
detraction to
vaporization.
me. What
And
I
now that
want to
its
see
boiling
is
point is below ambient
maybe not so
temperature,
many
it will
smashes in the
spontaneously start
field.
boiling and get very cold. To
Maybe
boil,
it's
it
not as
initially
nice
gets
as
the
what I
liquid
like,
heat
but
it needs
I
from
mean, I'm looking
itself,
at the
which
edges
brings the
right now.
remaining
They're
liquid down
definitely
to the new boiling point.
bashed.
From there, it will pull energy from ambient air.
I still
See,
like
now
it. What
that
do you
it's
want from
colder
me?
than ambient air,
What do
energy
you want
from
from me,
the air
man?
will flow into the
You can
refrigerant.
have the 2012
Remember,
if you like
energy
them
always
shiny.
wants to spread
Ooh,
out.
I have to rub my
Now
eye.
there's a place
I
that's
rub.
colder than its surroundings for that to happen. Thus, the refrigerant is absorbing the energy from its surroundings as it boils.
Fingernails are
This heat
scratching
exchanger is
your
called the
eyes if you
evaporator
need
because that's what the
to.
refrigerant does.
Hmm.
It evaporates in here and condenses over there.
Welcome
So,
back to
finally,
Time Backyard
here's
World
where we get
Headquarters
into how
here
we
in the
make this
corner
work
of
for
my
us and
bedroom,
what
living
heat
room,
pumps are
dining
so
room,
cool.
kitchen,
I mean,
basement,
hot,
actually.
hotly cool, or coolly hot. And
Giving you an
why many
idea of the
American
mind
audiences
of
may find this
a
whole idea a little
scrambled
perplexing.
brain,
See,
a
a lot of us are
rambling
used to
person.
energy flow in a refrigeration system
1988,
going
that's
one way.
copper, copper, copper,
We have
copper. Put
refrigerators,
me on
which
some
keep
kind
our
of a
insides
basic
colder, and we have
task
air
like
conditioners,
this,
which make our living
and then
spaces
just
cold.
let me do my thing.
Refrigeration is for cold.
I'll get it done. done.
See, here's an air conditioner. This is the condenser. That's the
1990.
evaporator. The evaporator goes inside. Condenser goes outside. Unless, of course, you have a portable air conditioner. But the job of the air conditioner is to take heat out. Duh.
Ooh,
Here's a
funny
central air
sound.
conditioner. This is the condensing unit. It has the compressor
Was that in
and
his
the
show?
condenser. Heat comes out of here, and that's just the way it is. The evaporator, hot. Hotly cool or coolly hot.
Well, that goes through
And
again. I'll hear
while
it.
many American audiences may find this whole idea a little perplexing. See, a lot of us are used to energy flow in a refrigeration
pretty
system
nice.
going one way. We have refrigerators, which make
Oh,
the
look at that
insides
in the
colder.
copper. Oh,
We
look
have
what we
air
have
conditioners, which
here.
make our living spaces
You
colder.
know this gentleman.
Refrigeration is for cold. See, here's an air
He
conditioner.
trusted in
This
God,
is
and
the
look what
condenser.
happened.
That's the
74. That
evaporator.
might be
The
copper
evaporator
too,
goes
but
inside.
not
Condenser
Canadian.
goes
So we will
outside.
put it to the
Unless,
side.
of course, you have a portable air conditioner. But the job of the air
That's the
conditioner is
Keen.
to take heat
The
out.
Clean.
Duh.
91.
Here's a central air conditioner.
91
This
is
is the
copper, my
condensing unit.
friends.
It has the compressor and the
Nice.
condenser. Heat comes out of here, and that's just the way it is.
Oh, it's
The
another
evaporator sits above
American.
my furnace and makes the air
I
colder.
am a
And 7 months
real
American.
American.
Here's a
Fight
mini
for
split air
the
conditioner.
life
This is the
of
condensing
every
unit, and
man.
inside is a
The
self-contained
rights, I think
evaporator
it
and
is,
blower.
though. Fight for the
But this is
rights of
also the
every
evaporating
man.
unit, and inside
I
is a
am a
self-contained
real
condenser and blower.
American.
This is
Fight for the
reversible, and so
rights
is
of
also a
every
heat
man.
pump. This mini split heat pump system has a different form factor from the central air
Ooh,
conditioning system next to it,
58.
but mechanically, they're something like 95%
85.
identical. There are some technological
See what
improvements
happens when
found in
things
the
get
mini
turned
split,
around?
like a variable speed compressor and more intelligent controls which help it gain efficiency. But
Well, it's still
fundamentally, the
copper.
heat pump
Goes
is
into the
no
copper
different
file for
from the air
sure.
conditioner. It's a
And I'm
compressor,
not
a
going to
metering
tell you
device,
what's going
a
to happen
refrigerant
to the
line set,
copper
2
file.
heat exchangers, and a fan of some sort to force air through each one. The main difference is that the central system uses the furnace as its indoor
1990
blower
is
motor,
copper,
and the mini
baby.
split has one of its own,
It's a
the
copper.
wall-mounted unit.
Oh,
But the mini split has one
it's a
additional
copper,
component
baby.
that changes it from
That's a
a cooling
2008.
only device to efficient year-round climate control.
1981,
Let's start
once
with a closer
again.
look at it.
We're looking
This is
for
a 1.5 ton
96
unit, or
and
18,000
blue.
BTU, or about
Blue.
5,250 watts.
But, you know, some of
The
these are
outside
nice
unit
looking.
contains most of its guts and unfortunately is not
That
very easy to take apart.
enduring design
That's
of the
not that
twig
important
with
though,
2
as we can
leaves
see the heat exchanger and
on
refrigerant
the 1
hoses.
penny. I
They're
don't know why
here
we went with
and
2
here.
leaves on the 1
The
penny.
fan forces air
And
through
an
the heat
obliterated
exchanger, which
queen with
wraps around the
some
side so we can see its
primordial
fins.
goop there.
The inside
Who
unit is
knows?
practically the same thing, but it doesn't have a compressor, and the fan's a linear blower type thing. Lift this up.
What else
and
we got going
there's the
on?
other
Not
heat
too
exchanger,
much.
plain as day.
Looking through some
The fan
Canadian
forces air
1
through
cent
it and
pennies.
exhausts through
As
its
you know.
swinging vent.
Wait a minute.
The metering
Dying.
device also
Dying here.
is here. I believe it's a simple capillary tube.
Forgive me a moment.
Please
Just give me
correct me
just
if
a
I'm
second
wrong.
here.
In any case, it lives at the end of the liquid
Double check,
line.
checking.
That's the smaller
check,
of the
check,
two,
checking.
and is the very last thing the refrigerant
That looks
goes
right to
through
me.
before it enters this heat
All
exchanger.
right, gonna keep on going with that.
Sometimes. Let's get out the thermal camera and observe.
We
this
haven't
thing.
had pennies in our
Note that the
circulation for
displayed
quite some
temperature
time.
is likely
So
inaccurate due to different
it is
emissivity from
definitely
materials,
nice
but it's the
to
visuals that are more important.
take a look at some pennies, some
When it's not
Canadian
running,
1
there is
centers.
no pressure gradient, and the refrigerant pressures in both heat
81.
exchangers are roughly equal. In
Oh,
cooling mode,
America.
the compressor works to pull gas out
America.
of this heat exchanger and lower the pressure inside of it. This lowers the boiling point
America.
of the
Fuck
refrigerant, and
yeah.
any liquid refrigerant remaining in the
78.
heat exchanger boils away. This causes the heat
That's
exchanger to
78.
get
That could be
very
a copper
cold.
1 too.
In this mode, it's the
Probably
evaporator, and the
is.
refrigerant absorbs latent heat to boil. It has become a thermal sink, and energy in
87.
the room is
Definitely
naturally
a copper
moving into
1.
it, sped up with the help of the fan. That ultimately makes the air colder. Meanwhile, the outside unit is
2009.
getting
Not
warm.
copper.
The compressor is forcing the gas it just pulled out of the
I have
evaporator
got a
into the
heat pump
condenser.
installed in my
Under
home
this higher
recently,
pressure, its boiling point
but
shoots
the
up
electrician
way
had
above the
not come
ambient
to
temperature out
finish the
here,
connection.
so the refrigerant will condense
So it
inside
is
the
not
pipes.
yet running.
That makes this the condenser, and the very energy that just got absorbed
This is a
inside as
very
the
late
refrigerant boiled
copper.
is now being expelled out of
96
here
is the
as it
last year of the
condenses.
copper,
That heat
not
energy
zinc
was
type.
pumped from
So we'll
inside
take
to
that.
outside, and that's what air conditioners do. But here's where things get interesting.
07?
Let's ask a simple question.
I'm dropping that
What if the
directly into
roles
the
could be
tube over
reversed?
here, which is
Is it
standing on
possible
end.
to collect heat energy in the outside unit and expel it from the
99.
inside unit? That would be
2000
pumping heat, but in the
party's
other
over.
direction.
Oh, we're out of time.
Well, of course, it is absolutely
Tonight
possible
I'm
and
gonna
frankly
party like
stupidly
it's
easy to accomplish. All you need to
1999.
do with a basic system
Oh,
like
come
this
on. It looks
is
so
move the
nice on
refrigerant
that
through
side.
backwards.
Whatever.
That's it. Now, you can't just run the compressor backwards. Refrigerant can only go through it in one direction.
94.
But with just a little bit of extra piping
Well,
and a
that makes
special
up for that
valve,
sloppy
you can change
99,
the
even though it's
direction
got
it
some
flows to
smudge
the
in the
rest of the
corner
system.
here.
Virtually the only difference between this mini split unit and the central air conditioner
Somebody's
next to it,
out there. I saw the
aside from
counter
the
go
variable
up by
speed
1.
compressor and
But then I
additional
just
particulars, is that the
Thank you for
mini-split has a
visiting,
reversing
everyone
valve
who
and its associated
lurkers of every
This
kind.
allows refrigerant to flow
We're just
in the
looking at some
opposite direction.
Canadian
That
pennies
flips the entire
because I'm
system on its
sorting them
head.
into those that
Remember
are
how in
and those that are
Cooler Mode,
not
the restriction was just before
copper.
the evaporator?
So from
High pressure liquid
96 and
refrigerant
below,
built
we
up
made them
right
out of
before it entered this
basically
space at the
copper.
capillary tube.
And
It would then
2007 here
evaporate
is
into
copper
this
plated
coil once
zinc.
it made it through because the pressure
As
in here
you
was
guys
quite
would call
low.
that as zinc
But if
as
refrigerant
opposed to a
is going
Lincoln.
the other way,
But we
well,
have
now
a
the restriction
I
is
don't
at
know
the
particular no
end
particular
of this
name
coil.
for it.
High
So
pressure liquid refrigerant will
this
build
one's
up
good till
inside of here,
92.
turning
That's going to
this
be
into the
copper.
condenser where the refrigerant will reject latent heat. Once it makes it through,
Ooh.
it finds itself on its way back outside in a low pressure environment where it will boil and absorb latent heat from the air.
I like
That
the look
makes
of
the
this one.
outside unit the evaporator. Take a look.
Got a
Here, the
small
mini
ding
split is
under the
operating
A in
coolly.
Canada, the first
The
A.
inside unit is the evaporator,
And
absorbing
another
heat,
one here to
and the
the
outside
far
unit is the
right.
condenser,
Over
rejecting
there.
it. This is how we expect air conditioning to work.
That's not too
But
bad
switch it
looking
into
though.
cooling
Let's
mode, and after a
get
few minutes of
disappointed
idle
and flip it
time
over,
to allow
shall
the
we?
pressures to equalize, the reversing
Ooh.
valve switches the direction of the refrigerant flow, and the
No.
roles become reversed.
No
When the compressor
disappointment.
starts up again,
Pushing that
the
one to the
outside
top
unit becomes
to
the
the special
evaporator,
area.
absorbing heat in
The
the
special
refrigerant,
area.
and the inside
It is
unit becomes
moving
the
to the
condenser,
special area.
rejecting that heat and warming the
2006.
space.
We
In a
move
sense,
on.
it's air conditioning the outside
We
air
don't find too
and
many
using
for
the
the
heat
special
collected from
area.
that process to warm the space.
93
Here's why this is a
Copperoo.
big deal. The actual work being done here is compressing a gas.
Oh my, very
Yeah, a little
shiny and
energy is being
matron
used by
head.
the fans, but
So
nearly
it's a
all of the
2007, a
electrical energy
very,
this
I'm
unit
going to
consumes
say very
goes
shiny,
into
but
the
there's some
electric motor
smooge in
which
the
drives
corner
the
there.
compressor.
Like
The
there almost
refrigerant
always
changes
is.
phases in a natural, spontaneous process. We just create the right conditions for that to
2006.
occur.
Also a
Because of
Zinky.
this heat pump is
Zinky
able to
Stinky
move up
Pinky.
to 5.5 times as much heat energy as it actually consumes
2003
in
is not for
electricity.
me or you.
That's frankly
It never
amazing.
was for you, but it
It's
could have
like
been for
running
me.
5 space heaters for
But
the
it's for
cost of
me.
one. And why
68.
does it work even when it's cold
Ooh, that
outside?
one is
Well,
almost as
remember
old as
that
I
heat
am.
energy always wants to
Let's give
flow
it some
out.
respect,
And
shall
also
we?
remember that the boiling point of refrigerants is
1968.
very,
Good
very
year.
cold at low pressures. So long
I'm
as you
thinking
can
about
get the evaporator colder than the air around it, it will
space
be
and
able to
stuff back
capture
then
heat
before we
energy as the
forgot about
refrigerant
it.
boils. Here, the ambient
As
temperature was about
2.
40 degrees, but the evaporator
2 is a
coil
good
is
age.
much
You
colder
can
than that,
imagine.
so it becomes a
Not
place
too many
ambient energy
worries
wants to
at
go.
2.
Once the refrigerant is compressed and brought to the inside unit, it will condense and release that acquired energy.
Definitely a
which
nice
warms the
enough
space.
68 to be in
It doesn't
somebody's
matter that
book
the
if
outside
they
air has less
had a
energy in it
hole.
than inside.
I
All we're
can't
doing
imagine
with
they're
the
hard
heat
to
or
come
cooler
by.
room is affect energy concentration in that room. The outside
Let's
air
see
may
what
have a
Coins in
lower
Canada
energy
says
concentration,
about
but the
the Canada
refrigerant's energy concentration can be made
1968
even lower than
penny.
that. That's all it takes. Make a region colder than another, and heat energy will always flow into the colder one. Since the refrigerant will hold on to that energy and release it when it condenses, just compress it to raise its boiling point, move it inside, and boom, heat
Well, it says
from
it
the
takes
cold.
an F12
But it's not all
to
sunshine
be
and
worth
rainbows.
4
The
cents.
trickiest thing
I'm
about
pretty
heat
sure
pumps like
melt is
this
3.
is known as an air
So
source heat pump, is that as it gets colder
3
outside, their
cents up till
effectiveness is reduced.
F12.
The coefficient of performance, or
Oh,
COP,
hello, little
describes
puppy.
how much heat
Hang
energy
on,
the
I'm
heat
going to
pump
see if I
moves
can't wrangle
compared
us
to
a
how much
puppy
it
dog. Come here.
consumes. A COP of 1
Come
is
see me, you loony.
bad.
What are you
That's just a 1-to-1
dressed? Were you
ratio, the
outside?
same as resistive heating. But a
Alright.
COP of 4 is
Let's
easily
get you up
attainable
here.
under decent conditions. That's pretty much any time it's a few degrees above freezing. Once you're close to freezing, though,
Swinger.
well,
Swing
there's a
the
complication.
camera over here.
You probably
There
know
you
that
are.
an air conditioner removes
This is
moisture
Mr.
from
Wan.
inside
He's
your
dressed.
home.
He must
This
have gone
happens because
outside.
the evaporator's cold surface causes water in the air
He's
to
gone
condense on it.
outside.
Well,
He's a
if
good
the
boy.
evaporator is
You're a good boy, right?
outside,
Mm, my
then
good boy. You
it's
pee on
probably going to
everything?
collect some
You're a
moisture.
pisher?
It
Not very
does.
happy about that
Now,
part
that
of
actually
you.
helps with heating
But
since water releases latent heat when it
what are you
condenses.
gonna do?
But if it's close to or
What are you
below
gonna do
freezing
when your
outside,
puppy's fucking
well,
15
that
years
water
old and
turns to ice once the heat heat
a little
pump
less
is
smart than he's been in the past, and he never
Over
was a
time, heat
brainiac,
pumps like this
right?
build up a coating
You're
of
not a
frost
brainiac.
on the outside unit.
You're just a
How quickly
chihuahua.
this happens depends
You're
a
just
lot
a
on
chihuahua. Look,
environmental
he's got the
conditions.
Looney Tune
If it's
on
a
him.
dry day, it'll happen slowly. But if
Despicable.
it's humid, it happens pretty fast. and this reduces
It says
its effectiveness.
despicable.
Not only does ice on the coils provide
right,
a
good
layer
boy.
of insulation, which slows the process
All
of
right.
scavenging heat from the
What do
air,
you want to do?
but eventually the ice
go there?
impedes the airflow through the coil entirely
That
by
shouldn't get
filling
in
the
the way
gaps
much.
between the fins. How do we deal with this? Well, it's actually pretty easy. You can defrost the coil simply by briefly reversing the refrigerant flow.
All right.
That will melt the frost that's built up at the
Hang on a
expense of
sec
pulling
here.
a little energy back outside. Since this unit has no other means of defrosting, it has to do it fairly cleverly. Sensors help it determine when it needs to defrost. A huge benefit of the unit being self-contained like this is that it knows
Oh,
both
yeah,
the
healthy.
inside and
Good
outside
stuff.
temperature, and by monitoring refrigerant
Should've
pressures,
switched to
it
the
can
scope
determine
for
how
all
well it's
that.
working.
Huh.
Observe here
Oh,
that
well.
prior
Welcome
to
to my
defrosting,
life.
it kept increasing the speed of the compressor to
If
counteract
I've scared
the
you
slowing
away
effects
already,
of the
good.
ice.
I need you to be resilient to be a friend of mine. I cannot do some small fuck up and be the straw that broke the camel's back. That's not fair. By definition, the straw is just a little thing that's come along
Eventually, though,
in a life
it
that's
decides to
probably
defrost.
filled a bunch of other things that have made the back
When it
burdened.
defrosts, it
The
first
straw
stops the
didn't
compressor
burden the
and
back.
then stops both fans. That makes sure it
The
doesn't blow
straw
cold
didn't
air
burden the
inside
back.
and
You
allows
had
the
your own
outside coil to
burdens.
get hotter.
You just
It
allowed
then
the straw
restarts
to
the
break
compressor
you.
in cooling mode.
That's
once
not a
again turning
weakness
the
in the
outside
case of the
coil into the
straw.
condenser. The
That's
heat
a
it's
weakness in
pulling
the
from
case of
inside
you.
quickly melts the ice.
So when somebody tells you you were the straw that broke the camel's back, tell them, get a fucking
Once it's
back.
concluded that it's done, it stops, reverses the refrigerant flow
1962.
again, and starts the
Beautiful.
outdoor fan and
That's a
compressor
nice
to
looking
begin
coin
collecting
and
heat
older
once
than I
more.
am.
But it waits to turn the
Bet you it's
indoor
got it
blower
back.
back on until the
It
inside
does.
coil has warmed up a bit.
Funny
To
little
the user,
wear right in the
a
middle of her
defrost is
head.
simply seen as
Not
like
a
a
horrible
pause
coin when you think about the
But as
age.
you've seen,
And
it's actually
definitely
much more complicated than that.
Kappa, kappa, kappa,
However,
kappa,
this
kappa,
reduces its
kappa.
efficiency and ultimately its effectiveness. On cold, humid days, it has to
1980.
defrost rather
So
frequently.
that's a copper.
limiting
It's got some
output and
interesting
reducing
toning. It's
efficiency.
kind of pretty.
How do we measure its efficiency?
Actually, it
Well,
is kind of
because
pretty.
this is the US, we
Looks a
use
little
weird
off
units like
struck.
SEER and HSPF. This unit has a SEER
I
of
know
90,
dick about this,
which is
but that's
pretty
off
great,
struck.
actually. That's
I'm
equivalent
gonna
to a
push
COP
that one
of
up into the
5.5.
wonder
But the seasonal energy
do
efficiency ratio
pile.
describes cooling. Its
And we'll go
HSPF,
straight to a
heating
Zinke,
seasonal performance factor,
1998.
is 10.
Good boy.
Luckily, we can convert that to the COP.
You are the
And
weakest
that
link.
means this thing's
Goodbye.
average coefficient of performance for heating is, at least according to how it's tested,
98.
2.9.
Zinky
So
pinky.
over a typical heating season, you can expect this to deliver almost 3 times as much heat energy as it costs to run. Some days it'll be better, others worse. Over time, though, it would need roughly a third of the
2002.
electricity of a plain resistive heater to produce
So this
the
is
same
where my
amount.
friend in the technology channel
There's a
is talking
catch.
about the heat pump,
This
and
thing is only rated to
basically
work
it says
down
he
to
says
5
that
degrees.
it should
Now,
be
it will
delivering
work
you
below that temperature. In fact,
basically
here's some
3
footage I
times
made
what
when
it
was
costs
10
to
below
run in
zero.
the heat.
Oh my goodness, it's cold out here.
I
Like,
hope that's the
it's
case because I
dangerously
got
cold
one
out here,
now.
especially to be standing in front of it, blowing colder than ambient air at me. Yeah, so I'm gonna go
95,
inside.
right on.
I know this is a terrible tool for this
That's
job,
actually a
but
nice looking
it's what I
95
have.
too.
It was still running and producing some heat, but to be fair, it was pretty tepid. It was also running its guts out, so its coefficient of performance in this scenario may have been just 1, or maybe slightly better. This particular heat pump just isn't
Yeah,
equipped
there's
to
a thing
handle
to
weather
take into
this cold.
consideration with the
Which,
old
to be
heat
clear,
pump called
is
the
fine for me.
coefficient of
This thing is in my
performance, and what
garage,
it
and the
means
heating
is,
is mostly a bonus. I
of course,
installed
a
it
heat
mainly
pump
to remove
takes
moisture because
heat from
summers
one
here
place and
are
moves it to
stupid
another.
humid.
In the case of
Seriously, I
mine,
left
it
the
is
leather
an
seats
air
from
to
my
air,
family's
so it
old minivan in here
pulls
my
heat
first
from
summer,
the air.
and by the fall,
Here in
they were
Edmonton, it's one of the
completely
colder
covered in
places
mold.
you could be.
Some other stuff
So
got damaged
there is a
too, so
period
if I wanted to
every
keep
year
anything
when
in here of value,
you're
air
not going to
conditioning
be
was
pulling
practically a must.
heat from the
But it
air
certainly is handy on
efficiently.
milder winter
Now
days
that
to be
doesn't
able
mean
to
you
use
can't
this as
pull
a
heat from
workspace.
the air.
When it's
Merkin,
above
eat
freezing, the
Blerbasund.
air this thing blows is
Because
proper hot.
there's
Like,
absolute
it
zero,
genuinely
right? Which
surprised
is no heat in the
me. In
air.
retrospect,
And then
I shouldn't
there's
have. 18,000 BTU is more than
what do you
3
call it,
US
negative
spec
20 or
space
negative
units.
32
But
or
knowing
0
that
as
the
we
heat
call
it
it,
produces is
that doesn't
coming
mean
from
there's no heat
outside
in the air.
makes
That just
feel
means
almost like
there's not a
magic.
lot.
And even
The
when it's
machinery
colder
can
and
still
not that
pull that
efficient,
heat out of
it
the
has a
air and
freeze
deliver it
protection
to you
group
in
that
your
keeps the
house.
temperature at 45
But the
degrees,
machinery
which is
takes
enough to melt the
electricity
snow
to
off
run.
my car after a drive.
It
And,
has to
well,
run
it is a
harder to
very
make
nice
use of
luxury, I'll
heat
tell you that.
if
I usually leave it in that mode.
there's less heat in the
However,
air.
it's true that on its own,
So
this
there
could
comes a
not
point,
reliably
that's a
provide me with
very pretty
sufficient heat throughout the winter.
2009, honestly.
I would need a backup heat
I think
source
I'll
when
push that
conditions
one
were
into
ideal
the
for a
check
heat
it
pump.
in the
That's
book
often
later,
electric resistive
even though it's a
heating, which
zinky
will
pinky.
always work but needs a ton of energy to do so.
Suffice to say,
But
at a
it can
certain
also be
temperature, it
natural
becomes
gas or another
inefficient to
solution.
run a
In
heat pump.
whole home systems with
There's
heat
just
pumps,
not enough
the backup
heat in
heat
the
is often
air
called emergency
versus what
heat
it
or
costs to
auxiliary
pull it out
heat.
of the air.
And many thermostats
So here
are
in
designed to
Edmonton,
control these systems
they
as they go.
decided that
But
that's
even in my
probably
climate,
a
on
few
many
degrees
days, a
above
heat pump would be all I
freezing.
need. In fact,
And
that's the
so,
case for the vast
1994,
majority of the
woohoo,
winter.
that's copper.
It's not actually all that often that it
Furnaces
dips
that have
below
heat
5
pumps
degrees
here
here. And still,
are
some
generally
heat
in
pumps like
93,
this
another
are rated
copper
down
right
to
on.
20 below
Have
zero. It's
systems that have
extremely
heat
rare for it
pumps
to get
often
cooler than
have
that.
furnaces.
Heat
It's
pumps
sort
can
of
be made
a
to work in cold
multiple
temperatures with
choice
different
thing where you
refrigerants,
got to use
often
whatever
designed
makes
for
sense.
through electric defrost coils where the
Stage,
outside
that's
unit
that
has
one.
dedicated heaters to allow
So
it to
we
defrost
have a
while
pretty
still operating
sophisticated
in
system,
mode.
I'm thinking, that's
But
got
let's set aside those
kind of
potential
both.
fixes. Here's a
Probably
question
wasted
I've
some
been
money
asking a
there,
lot
but
lately.
because I say
Why
wasted
isn't
because
this
I'm not
thing
long for
also
this earth, so I'm not putting it in for
This
me.
HVAC system isn't
But I'm
even 2
hoping
years
that
old, but
this
no one even bothered giving me the option for a heat pump.
house can go
Yes,
to the
it's cold
boys or
enough where I
whatever. I
live
don't
and a
know.
gas-fired furnace
Definitely
is the
the right
norm,
thing to
but
install,
I've got
honestly.
95% of a
The
reversible
future
heat
is
pump
looking
sitting right
good
here.
for this house's
This
heating and
2.5
cooling
ton air
needs.
conditioner may only be able to put out
But
half
how
of what
much
my
time
furnace
I'm going to
can
have to
use
enjoy it
fired
is
to
a
use.
question.
But on mild days,
But fair
so
enough.
the ones a heat pump would be best at, that's more than I need anyway. Heck, even when it was
The
minus
people
10
here that
outside,
live with
my
me will get
70,000
themselves
BTU
some
furnace only ran for about
jobs.
10 hours a day.
We'll
30,000
get underway
BTU
in our new
continuous
city.
heat
We're
would have covered
already
that. But yes, I
scouring
know
the
that
market
output would have
looking
been
for
possible
things
at
to
that ambient
do.
temperature. I'm just spitballing here. And it's not like heat pump
I don't
systems
want
are
to work
unheard of
personally,
in
so
my neck
let's
of
see
the
if we
woods.
can keep
In
that from
fact, a
happening.
patron of the channel has one, and
That
they're
would just
actually a
be
little farther
wrong.
north than I am. This outdoor
Friggin'
unit is
nuisance.
practically the exact same thing as
Working
the
is a
condensing unit
nuisance.
for
A
my AC
nuisance I
system,
look to
save
avoid.
for the reversing valve and a more complicated compressor
I just
system.
don't want to
It
anymore.
functions
I don't know if that makes
exactly
any
as the mini
sense.
split does, doing the
But I
same
just don't
periodic
want
reversing
to
to
anymore.
defrost. I mean, there's snow on the ground, yet it's
I
still
don't want
working.
to.
Since this is almost the exact same machine as mine, it
You know
annoys
who
me
gets what they want,
endlessly that
hey?
reversibility isn't
Good to
just
want things. That's
standard
what I
as it
say
would
when
be.
people tell me
In
what
fact,
they
in the
want.
South, reversible heat pumps
Very
in this form
motivational.
factor
It's
are
good to
pretty
want
common and have
things.
been for years.
I
And
guess
since
that's
heating
also
demand is
because
usually
there's
mild, if
a lot
any,
of me
in the
that
South,
doesn't really
relatively few
want
folks
very
have
much of
natural
anything
gas for
more.
heating. When you're all electric and have
I
air
don't have.
conditioning,
I need more
you might
pennies
as well
right
have
now.
a heat pump to
Nope.
save money on heating
You know when you
costs.
don't got
And
enough
since all
pennies
it
to
really
really
takes
start
is a
filling a
reversing
roll?
valve and a
That's
few other
that.
particulars to make that happen,
Okay, so these are the
I
coppers.
see
We
it as a
got those. We'll
no-brainer.
put them aside.
Well,
Now I'm going
usually.
to get
When a
another
large disruptive
pink
weather event
roll
takes
that
hold that
is
causes an
not
entire
sorted.
region to suddenly need resistive heat because
Shout
it's
out
too cold
Sia
for their
and
heat pumps to work
DJ. Sia and
effectively,
DJ, thank you very
that can
much.
put an untenable
Friends
strain
of
on the
mine
electric
for
grid.
years now,
When this video
honestly.
was published, Texas
In a
had just
funny
gone
kind
through
of
one of these extreme
way.
events. Heat pumps certainly
But
were
friends,
not the
definitely.
cause of the grid failures, to be clear,
And
as a
provided
lot of
me with
issues
these
occurred on the
pennies.
generation side of things.
Sia
And
had
based
them
on what I
available,
read,
and
natural gas backup
she
heat
said,
is
"You
more
want a
common than I
pennies?"
thought.
And I said,
But But the
Why,
occasional
yes,
need for
I
an
want a
energy-intensive
penis.
backup heat
And
source
she said,
is good
I
to keep
shall
in
have
mind.
given you in
But
pennies.
so far, we've just been talking
In
about
fact, they
air
were
source heat
super
pumps. These
super
are definitely the
generous
most
to
common because,
William and I.
well, they're easy and simple to make. But there are other sources of heat to be tapped into. And heat pump technology is finding itself in more and more places as we discover the benefits
81,
of
that's
using
a
heat
copper.
rather than creating it. In part 2, we'll look at some of these solutions and
89,
discuss
that's
where
copper.
heat pumps have to go from here. We'll also
Come to
look at
think of
some
it, I gotta do
cost-benefit
some. Well, I
comparisons,
mean, they
both
got
from a
them.
financial perspective and
I
from a
wanted to
climate
get them
change
watches,
perspective.
and I got them
And
that.
that's a
But
key
William
reason
has
heat
kind of
pumps will
earned a little bit
undoubtedly
more
see more
because
widespread use
of
as
the
time
tip
goes
that we
on.
were given.
I said
Not that it
earlier
was
that
like
with a
hundreds of
coefficient of
dollars, because it
performance
wasn't
of
quite that,
2.5,
but
you'll get
sort of
more
part of that
heating out
tip
of the
should
heat
go to
pump
get
than
him
you would
something
burning
nice.
natural gas on
I
site.
did recently. Ooh,
Let me explain
97.
that.
First year
In
of the
2019,
Zinky Pinky.
the average efficiency of a natural
I did
gas power
set my
plant
other
in the
boy up
US
with a
was
new monitor there
44%,
the other
according to
day.
the Energy
He
Information
came to me and he
Administration.
said, "Dad, is your
Now,
monitor
if
a
you run
1080?"
electric resistive heat
I
from
said,
this source of
"Yeah."
energy, after transmission
He
losses,
says,
you'll
"I
end
got
up
a
getting about
gaming monitor
40%
that's
of the energy out of the
1440,
natural
and
gas.
I'm not able to
Not
get
bad,
the
but you
frame
can also
rates that I
burn
want.
natural gas in
I
an
want to go
on-site
down to
furnace and
1080
get
so
more
I
than
can get a higher
90% of
frame
the
rate
energy out of it.
out of my
It's for that
video
reason
card."
that areas like mine tend to have
And
natural
I
gas
said,
infrastructure capable
"Yeah,
of delivering
well,
it
my
directly to
panel
homes.
is
Historically, it's
1080,
been cheaper, easier, and more efficient.
but
But when a heat
its
pump is running at
refresh
a
rate is
CFP
only
2.5,
75 hertz.
sure, you're still only getting
And the
40%
hertz
of the
has to
energy
do with
from the
how
natural gas.
many
But
frames per
with
second
it,
you're
you're
going to be able to
moving
get. If
2.5
it's only
times that
75
amount. That means
hertz,
that in the end,
hertz can
you're
also
getting
be
the
referred
equivalent
to
of
as
100%
cycles per
out of the
second.
natural gas.
So
And you can get even more than that.
that
A heat pump
relates
is
directly
frankly
to how
the
many
most effective
frames
way to turn
per
electricity into
second.
heat. So even on
And
today's
that means
fossil-fired
75 is
power
kind of
grid,
the
they're a wiser
designed
use of limited
maximum for that
resources and can
panel.
help lower
So I told
emissions.
them my old
And they
panel, which
also
is
make
1080,
renewable energy
is
sources
not going
much
to
more
give you
feasible than
higher
coal
frame rate
plants. While you
display like
certainly
you're hoping.
can use the output from wind
And
or
he
solar to
understood
heat your
and
home
went away.
resistively,
And
that
I
takes a
thought,
lot of output and makes storage hard
maybe
to
I'll buy a
manage.
new
If
monitor.
everyone had very efficient heat pumps,
Maybe I'll buy
that energy
that
demand could be
2011
cut
is
into a
something
quarter
else,
or
baby.
perhaps a little less. And while heat pumps like this
Pretty,
struggle in
it's a
cold
pretty
weather,
zinky
there is an alternative. The ground
on both
source or
sides. All
geothermal
right,
heat pump
you
is a
live.
way to attain year-round, near-constant peak efficiency with heat pumps
I
even
bought the
in
sort of
cold
monitor
climates.
he needs,
And
and
we'll
then
talk
when it
about those,
arrived,
some other
I
novel
said,
resistor heat
"Hey,
pumps,
I
as well
happen to
as the
have
need
this
for more
here.
climate-friendly
Want to trade?"
refrigerants in the next video. For now,
Another nice
stay
copper.
warm.
So on this monitor I'm looking at right now, I have the bigger
And that if you
1440
could capture the heat
high
energy
refresh
output,
rate gaming monitor now that I never had. So one of my monitors
start
is
this
a
line because
legitimate high refresh gaming monitor.
Just
And
like
the other
Carol's
three
helicopter
are
causing me problems again.
different
And the
variations
thing is,
of.
air condition and
Oh, a 77. Because I'm running 4
allows us to
monitors now.
manipulate the ambient pressure the
2
refrigerant experience.
sideways.
The S is on the wrong word. That line needs an on-the-fly
Can always
rewrite.
have the
Okay,
chat
that was
on
great.
one, which is kind of
The wind point
nice.
shoots way up. Way up. There are words missing. This is, incidentally, the principle on which automatic rice cookers work. Another plug? Damn it!
Oops. Tom McDonald
Now
is
that we know
live.
what
If you know
heat
who
pumps
Tom
are
McDonald
and how they
is,
work, it's time to
definitely
talk a
check
little
him
more
out.
about
He
their
is live
actual
right now.
use. If you've
And
not
if you know
seen
who
the first
Tom
video,
McDonald
well,
is,
you definitely should fix that before watching this one, as there will be a lot of stuff we talk about here that assumes prior knowledge. I'll summon a card. Bippity boppity card. Great. A link is below, and probably in a pinned comment too. You ever heard about those? They're neat. I want to start with a clarification of sorts. Heat pumps definitely are the future of home heating, at least if I can help it, but they're also not new, and some people hate them. It seems for every person who thinks heat pumps are wicked neato, closest thing to free energy out there devices, that's me, there's another who hates theirs with a passion. Allow me to submit that you don't hate your heat pump, you hate your thermostat. See, as we learned, as the outdoor temperature approaches freezing, it gets harder for air source heat pumps to work. A smaller temperature difference between the source of heat and the evaporator absorbing it causes the efficiency of heat pumps to drop and eventually their output as well. Unfortunately, it is under these precise conditions that the demand for heat goes up. It's kind of a bummer. So most systems with heat pumps have some sort of backup heat source, be it electric resistive heat, often this is called the heat strips, though I prefer to think of it as a giant hairdryer, or a fuel-fired furnace might be utilized. The trouble is, until quite recently, the thermostats controlling these systems would just run the heat pump as hard as it could until the output wasn't enough to maintain the set point. Only then would they switch to the auxiliary heat. That meant that air coming out of your heat vents would get milder to the point it was barely heat at all before the thermostat gave up and switched heat sources. That is undoubtedly annoying, and if you've lived with a heating system that behaves like this, I can see why you wouldn't like it. But it doesn't have to be that way, and it's not the fault of the heat pump. Instead of trying to run the heat pump until it just isn't enough anymore, a more thoughtful thermostat could handle things more thoughtfully. If the heating system can determine its current coefficient of performance, it can determine whether it makes sense to run the heat pump in the first place. You could even program at which COP it should switch to auxiliary heat. That would allow you to prioritize comfort, energy costs, or emissions.
That's what it is.
Now, if your backup heat is electric, any COP greater than 1 will benefit you from a cost and emissions perspective. And that's largely why these systems will use the heat pump as long as they possibly can. It's saving you money, but you can still use this to force the backup heat on before you notice the output falling if that's what you really wanted. If you have natural gas or some other fuel as your backup heat, you could choose to input the COP that is your break-even point on cost. Now, here in the Chicago area, we have pretty cheap electricity and pretty cheap gas.
Point on costs.
By my calculations, you need a COP of about 4 in order for a heat pump to beat the cost of gas here. That's certainly achievable on many winter days with a heat pump, and certainly in the fall and early spring, but many times it isn't. And if you had a thermostat which was aware of the current COP and could switch to auxiliary heat based on it, well, you'd be able to optimize for heating cost.
That's
Just
exactly
compare your
what we're
costs
doing
of
here.
energy sources, figure out what the COP break-even point is, and set your system up accordingly. This is actually a legitimate use for smart thermostats. Even if the heating system can't determine its own COP, which many simpler systems can't, that can be reasonably predicted based upon outdoor temperatures and system specs. A thermostat that can determine outdoor conditions can use this to its advantage, and knowing the outdoor humidity can even help it determine how often it needs to defrost the outside unit. Of course, this can be done locally with a temperature and humidity sensor, but if your thermostat were aware of the current energy mix on the grid in your
my
area,
thermostat
it
is
could also help
aware.
reduce emissions by bending the COP changeover depending on what's advantageous. Ideally, we'd have some sort of pricing structure where the
Copper.
cost of each energy source was related to its emissions, but that's getting
Another
deeper than
yucky
this
one.
video needs to go.
American.
Oh, and speaking of defrosts, if you have a simpler heat pump system, you might be very aware of when that happens because the outdoor unit makes a tremendous racket. If that's a reason you don't like heat pumps, you should know that this is also not a necessary thing by any means. A lot of domestic HVAC stuff is controlled with little to no brains, if you will. Often the thermostat is literally the only thing in control of the outside unit, and simpler systems will just slam the reversing valve while the compressor is still running. And that's what's causing that racket. If instead the compressor were stopped before it reversed, allowing pressures to equalize, it would be much less noticeable. That's how this mini-split heat pump does it, and to my mind, that's obviously better. I also can't see how changing the direction while the compressor runs isn't somewhat rough on it, but apparently it's not so bad because lots of systems do this very thing. Anyway, the point here is the little annoyances you may have with your heat pump system are probably nothing to do with it being a heat pump. Instead, it's simply bad design, or a case of misaligned priorities. In my opinion, air conditioning systems like the one I just installed that have no reversing capabilities should not exist. There is no reason this device cannot provide low emissions heating other than a few components are missing from it, which made it slightly cheaper to build. This is a case of, but sometimes, thinking, leading to the embrace of less flexible systems for virtually no reason, and it's dumb. Yes, in my climate, there are many days in the winter where an air source heat pump would leave me in the cold, and that's a terrifying prospect. I completely get it. Nearly everyone around me has natural gas or occasionally propane heating because in the deepest depths of the winter, you frankly need it. But since nearly everyone around me also has central air conditioning for our sweltering hot summers, they already have a heat pump, but it can only go one way because as of now, few people see the point of redundant heating systems when you have cheap natural gas anyway. But since whenever the COP of a heat pump exceeds 2.5, we can heat our homes with less fuel burned and ultimately lower emissions, why would we not want to make the air conditioner reversible for the many days of the year when that's absolutely possible? Well, frankly, the biggest barrier right now is direct cost to the consumer. As I said, in my area, unless you can get to a COP of 4, it's just not cost effective to run a heat pump over burning natural gas. And since there are many, many days in the winter where that COP is a lofty goal, even if running the heat pump is more climate friendly, it may not be more wallet friendly. The added cost of a heat pump may never make financial sense in my area, no matter how small that added cost might be. At least, so long as externalities remain free to energy providers. Oh, too deep alert! And that is why they're not standard equipment around here. Yet. But it should be noted that the financial practicality of a heat pump will depend entirely on your cost of heating fuel. If it's not natural gas, or even if it is, but it's more expensive for you, that math will be different. Now, if I were king, I'd proclaim that every central air conditioning system sold must be reversible. It's equipment with a 10 to 20 year service life, and who knows what the availability and cost of heating fuel will be in 2041. Plus, we keep making strides in system efficiency, and air source heat pumps are becoming viable in colder and colder climates. In fact, I just read a piece on their use in Alaska. It can absolutely be done, even up there. But if you really want a heat pump to work in the coldest of the cold using the least amount of energy, you gotta go underground. Look down. See that? It's the ground. Turn around. There's a human thinking of something else. You know how we have water pipes going every which way underground, and even in the dead of winter, they don't freeze, usually? Well, that's because the Earth is warm. Dig just a few feet below the surface and you'll find the frost line. Below this imaginary line, the ground doesn't freeze. Where that line is changes depending on where you are, but it's there. Management was just really bad about marking it when they built the place. Since heat pumps are great at extracting and concentrating heat energy from relatively cool places, and since there's a place right below our feet that doesn't get cold enough to freeze water, no matter how cold it is outside, if we could just get the heat energy from that place to the evaporator of a heat pump, we could get more than enough heat to warm our homes, no matter what time of year it is. And wouldn't you know it, this is a thing we know how to do. Ground source or geothermal heat pumps scavenge heat from the ground below the frost line. There are two main ways to do this, and both involve using an intermediary fluid to transfer heat energy. And yes, some newer ideas don't use an intermediary fluid, but we're not talking about them today.
The frost line
Instead of an outside unit like this with a large fan-driven refrigerant-to-air heat exchanger, these systems will have a refrigerant-to-liquid heat exchanger. There's no law saying evaporators have to look like this, after all. Inside your home, the equipment doesn't look too much different from a normal furnace or air handler, but the compressor, and sometimes there's more than one, as well as both heat exchangers are all right here. And to those worried about noise from the compressors, don't worry, there's plenty of sound deadening. Engineers are smart. What's special about these systems is where they're getting their heat from. A long, closed loop of piping filled with a mixture of water and antifreeze is pumped in a circuit out of the home and underground, where the liquid will absorb heat from the earth before being brought back inside. This now warmed liquid is fed to the heat exchanger, which will absorb and concentrate that heat with the help of our friend, the refrigeration cycle. The refrigerant is then squeezed into the condenser, and that heat is released into the air and ultimately the living space. The benefit of doing this is that no matter what the air temperature is outside, the temperature of the fluid returning from the ground loop will be a near constant 50 degrees Fahrenheit or about 10 Celsius. That temperature allows a heat pump to run at peak performance and efficiency, delivering a nearly constant, near maximum COP at full output, no matter what. Right now, you can expect it to always meet or exceed a COP of 4, and that will undoubtedly improve as technology advances. And that's obviously a huge deal. A home with a geothermal heat pump needs significantly less energy to heat than any other heating technology available today, unless you count home design itself and want to bring up the passive house, but that's a topic for another time. Even with an entirely fossil fuel-powered electrical infrastructure, emissions are drastically reduced when using a ground source heat pump. Remember, exceed 2.5 and you're getting more energy out of burning natural gas in a power plant and sending its energy the zippy-zappy way than natural gas itself contains. That's astonishing and yet completely possible.
Nice.
Also important is that methane, the main component of natural gas, is a potent greenhouse gas, and
That's
the
a nice
infrastructure we use to
75.
transport it to homes across the country is notoriously leaky. Not requiring that infrastructure in the
Wow.
first place provides its own emissions reduction. What's more, the much lower energy requirement of homes with geothermal heat pumps opens up many more opportunities, particularly when it comes to renewable and locally generated sources of power. Oh, and of course, these systems are entirely reversible. In the summer months, well, below the frost line, the Earth stays colder than the air outside. So in cooling mode, the system simply puts heat back into the Earth. It's actually almost poetic. That heat ends up simply being borrowed in the winter months and returned in the summer. And being able to transfer it into a cool liquid means no matter how hot it gets outside, the system will run at peak performance. Neat. So what's the catch? 11 words: the upfront cost and disruptive nature of the ground loop installation. That second part's getting better, but unless you happen to be lucky and have access to some natural body of water like a pond that's deep and large enough to use as your heat source, which is another way to go about it, by the way, there will have to be a network of piping installed under the ground to collect and transport its heat energy. For a long time, this meant excavating a large area around a home down to several feet, think about a meter-ish, below the frost line. Then you'd go all loopy with a bunch of piping and cover it back up.
That's a lot of pipe.
Hopefully, you remember to put the ends of that pipe somewhere useful. But that's really disruptive and requires a large area of lawn or similar open space. I mean, if you're building a new house somewhere and have room, please just do it. It's the perfect time. Oh, and one interesting idea that's taking hold is community ground loops. A bunch of homes in a new development can be hooked up to a large shared ground loop that's piped into each home. They each have their own heat pumps extracting energy from the fluid, but the geothermal equipment is shared, maximizing its potential and lowering the cost per user. But if you want to add a ground loop to an existing home site, it kind of sucks and sometimes isn't possible. However, a more recent and exciting development is the use of vertical drilling to go deeper rather than broader. Using equipment similar to that which is used to dig a well for drinking water, a borehole can be dug hundreds of feet below the soil, and a rather simple bit of piping down and then back up can be run to extract that earthy warmth. This is much less disruptive and easier to accomplish in areas with denser housing and little green space. Dandelion Energy is one company installing such systems. Now, these aren't cheap. Their own website admits that this is going to cost about as much as a small car, and depending on how your energy is priced, you may never recoup that investment. But regardless of where you are, it will reduce greenhouse emissions, and hopefully energy starts getting priced to reflect that. Oh, sorry, going too deep again. What Dandelion and companies like it are doing is really important for making geothermal heat pumps more approachable. Simply negating the need to tear up an entire yard is a huge step in the right direction for getting the reluctant on board. But it's by no means a one-size-fits-all solution. Unless you have the rights to dig that far down and there's nothing below you that could be a problem, like abandoned mines, subway tunnels, etc., well, you can't do it. And what about in, cities? How's a large apartment building going to get all of the heat it needs from a borehole? Well, it can't. District heating, though, may be an indirect way to provide geothermally derived heat to large urban spaces. District heating is, unfortunately, not that common in the US, which is a giant shame. Basically, it's a network of underground insulated pipes bringing really hot water into buildings that is then fed through radiators to heat them. One of the more clever ways to heat that water is with the waste heat of conventional power stations, and many countries have been doing this for decades. It annoys me greatly that this hasn't been normal practice everywhere since power plants have been a thing, especially since water loop systems for heating buildings are by no means a recent development. But anyway, that practice can be used to provide heat to urban centers without requiring combustion of fuels on site or the immense electrical supply which would be needed with resistive heating alone.
I wonder how
what you
far
use
a
to heat the
person
water
would have
then
to
is
go.
arbitrary. It could be a large geothermal station
If
running
you wanted to
massive
make
heat
one
pumps,
loop,
or you could even drill
not
deep
tear up
enough
an
to get
entire
heat directly from the
backyard,
magma kilometers below
but
us
just
if you're
go down
feeling
as deep as
adventurous.
possible,
This is all stuff that's being
come
researched right
back,
now. And as usual,
maybe
there's
in a
pros and
perfect
cons to every one of
situation,
these.
have
What
2
gives?
loops.
Well,
So
Ellen,
4
there are no
pipes
easy answers. But
involved.
this video was about heat pumps.
And if those 4
While
pipes could
geothermal heat
be
pumps may not exactly
within
work
like
in the concrete jungles of New York City, air source
what a
heat
4 or
pumps
6
certainly
inch
can.
pipe would be.
And maybe they won't make sense to use on really cold
So say you
days,
had a
but really cold days are only
4.5
some of
inch
the days of
pipe
winter. We really
with
got to stop this whole only solutions which cover
half
every
inch
single possible
wall
contingency are feasible
ABS,
nonsense and start using what we can when we
and
can.
within that there
That's
were
kind of my whole
2
point with the
loops of
every air
copper
conditioner
line.
should be reversible thing. It's unreasonable to me to limit their potential just because some days heat pumps can't work. We
Makes you
have the
wonder.
technology, so use it when possible. Oh yeah, here's a really dumb thing. Electric cars, which nearly universally have air conditioning, are only just now starting to make that reversible. Cabin heat is by far the largest non-locomotive energy use in an EV, and is a large part of why range drops in the winter. It has always been the case that a heat pump
Well, I
would help a
suppose if a
lot
person
with
was
that,
digging a
at least
well,
on milder days, and yet
that
even
person
some
was digging
brand
their
new
own
EV
well.
models on sale do
I
not
remember
offer
seeing
them.
a video about
Instead,
that.
resistive heat is your only option. I don't know if there's some trick to ruggedizing reversing valves for road use, or maybe there's something else that makes it harder for cars, but come on, heat pumps need to be standard in EVs. Figure it out. And if you can get to a COP of 2 when it's 0 degrees out, fantastic.
Well,
But you know
now
what's
I'm really
real neat?
wondering. Vertical holes for heat pumps. Doesn't strike me like that got me anywhere. Thought that was going to be like a search. Vertical hole for heat pump. It's not searching. What's the point of that? Fine.
Incentives and rebates. In this video, we'll cover the different types of geothermal heat pump systems, along with information on where to find. In this video, we'll cover the different types of geothermal heat pump systems, along with information on where to find incentives and rebates, the efficiency compared to a regular heat pump, and the cost you might expect to pay to have one installed. The use of geothermal heat pump systems takes
I just
advantage
switched
of
my
a diverse,
microphone button
relatively
to push
constant
talk
temperature
so I
beneath the
can cough
surface
more
based
freely.
on location and height.
How
The
are you,
Earth
sir?
maintains a ground temperature range from
I am
45 degrees
just
Fahrenheit,
doing some
7
studying
degrees
on heat
Celsius,
pumps
to
here, and
75
since
degrees
I
Fahrenheit,
got
21 degrees Celsius. Taking advantage of this
set
natural...
pause on that for a moment. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. Yeah. That's a pretty nice looking one. I'm gonna slide to the look at later pile. Now, where was I? Feel like I was doing something somewhere. I got derailed. I've been assailed. I must have lost my way. Well, hi there. Welcome back to Dimebag Aaron World Headquarters here in the corner of my basement. Yes, sir. New headquarters is well, it was more put together a couple days back, but the electrician has to get access to the panel because the panel is full, and he has to drop a sub panel in order to get us the connection we need to power the air conditioner, the heat pump. So he won't be around till Tuesday. I've explained to him my interest in solar and alternative ways of powering this place, and I hope he'll take that into consideration as we look at the panel that he's going to bring me. I think I explained to him my ulterior motives ahead of time enough that if he gives it some thought, but we'll see. We will see. That's how it goes. But yeah, behind that door right there, in fact, I had a shelf there and a bunch of stuff up there, but that has all come down for now. Ah. You know, settling into the new place, as I was saying. At least I got a couple people in my family life looking for some work now. I honestly would like to retire, but we'll see. Sometimes a guy just doesn't want to keep on working. I feel like it'll take years off my life if I do. If I'm looking to live the longest amount of time, I might want to not work quite so. But I have applied. I even applied at a shop. They were looking for parts person, or kind of like a parts person. Let's describe it like that. So a job that, support job for the people that would do what I'm actually ticketed to do, which is fabricator. But, to have the parts there for them, to have the, just the support in general that lets them do their job. That was a position I would be interested in. I did put in for it, but didn't hear back. My problem is I'm vastly overqualified for that sort of a position, but in my current state of health, I'd be happy to do it. The problem is then if it's a union shop, they probably have to pay me according to my qualifications, and they don't want to pay me that kind of wage just to do that job. I would love that. Sometimes unions get in the way, right? Because I take a lower wage to do the more simple position. I really want to do 5 more years. I hear you. Yeah, I also wore it yesterday. So if you didn't see me yesterday, no, I didn't wear this shirt yesterday. And if you did see me yesterday, yes, of course I have more than one. Yeah. Speaking of more than one, a friend of mine to whom I spoke and said, I'd like pennies. She said, I have some pennies. And she gave me all these pennies. And these pennies are what I've been looking at because I just want to sort out the copper from the non-copper. Simple as that. And if we find one that's really pretty, I set it aside because I do have a penny book. I keep some pennies. Haven't promoted my books lately. Those of you who have gotten books from me in the past, if you want to reach out for updates to your book because some new coins have come out, for the most part, I can help out with that. I'm no Blockus. I didn't get no X number of boxes of coins or whatever. But in fact, haven't gone looking for the RCAF yet. So that's going to be in the future of our searches. Some Toonie boxes looking for the new RCAF and its untainted cohort. Gonna have to start doing that one pretty quick so we don't miss out. We are, of course, looking for Anne of Green Gables in the loonies. Oh, it's an American one. And we are pulling from circulation. We are not ordering anything. Whatever we find, that's what it is. We haven't cracked the code or anything like that. We're just going about it the old-fashioned way. Because that's what the good Lord intended, I suppose. I don't know. I'm going to say it. I don't care. What do I got to lose? If I figure out some secret about how to get coins, and I'm 3 provinces away, I'm going to share that with my friends in the coin world so that they might be able to leverage that for themselves. Not going to hold it as a secret, lord it over people and whatnot, because it doesn't affect me if you can do the same. I mean, if you can go to the local Caisse Populaire, the local credit union, and they'll order you a box, and whenever they do, they order it directly from the mint, so you have an advantage getting the new coins. If that's the case, I would just tell my friends how I did it. I mean, again, they live in other places in the country. If they leverage the same tactic, it certainly wouldn't be to your detriment. So I don't understand. But that's okay. I don't have to understand. It's not about that. My understanding has very little importance in this world. I have the important understandings down pat. Those I already got, being an old dude, having life experience. You know what I'm saying? Very pretty, this one. It's an E pluribus, of course. We'll leave that one up while I take a mental health break here. I feel like KK. If you're out there and you're listening to me and you think I sound like KK, just reach through the screen and give me a slapperoo. It is kind of cool when you see one of these in good shape. You got that guy in Lincoln, right? Lincoln Memorial, right? I'm not an American, so forgive me if I get any of that wrong. I really don't. I would never, and you know how it goes. So the stairs are kind of wiped out on that one, right? Right in the middle. I mean, I don't see them as clearly as I do the ones near the bottom or maybe even closer to the top. Is that a high point on these coins? Nevertheless, that's a good looking coin, you know? I really like that a lot. It's that's what they should have done. They should have just devalued the money so that, so that pennies are more, I don't know. I don't mean devalue. I mean, I don't know what I mean. Make it more valuable, the cent, so that its circulation means something. Everything that currently sells for $1 now sells for a cent. A cent is the new dollar. And then we'll go, we've almost 10 times the cost of everything anyways. So might as well just reset it, right? And if you could get a loaf of bread for a cent, and now it's $1, then that looks like there's room for a reset. I'm pretty sure you could get gas for 10 cents. In fact, gas was worthless at one point, a worthless byproduct. Gasoline, now not as fully refined as it is today, but the basics of what goes on to fully make gasoline was waste. Anywho, time to look at another one. That one, of course, goes into the USA pile, which is actually pretty damn big. Let me making a pretty big roll of USAs. 2011. Some of these Zinkies are pretty good looking too. Of course, they're the ones that don't have quite as much age on them. They're zinky pinky. This one's not zinc. Yeah, 88. You could just tell by how brown it was. 1988. 1988. I bought an 88 Ford Tempo in 1989. It was, for the most part, brand new and bought from Hallmark Ford. 98. That's a Jinky. This one should not be a Jinky. It is. This one should not be a Jinky. Well, it could be still. It's not. It isn't 93. I've heard a little buzz in that speaker twice today now. I think that's the sound of cellular interference, honestly. Let me just see here. I think my phone is phoning home on me. We'll have some fun with you. Actually, I'm going to put that way over there too. Let's see if that makes any difference. I heard a little bit of, I think it's digital interference personally, through one of my speakers twice today so far. I thought one time it might have been in the program I was watching, so I rewound it, and it didn't come through again. So, it must have been me. I don't know. This is what I do know. This one should be Kappa, 76. Go with the spirit of 76. That was an ad for a U.S. gas station back in 1976, because 76 was the U.S. bicentennial, and that's like from 1776 to 1976, 200 years of the USA, and that was one of the gas station's little jingle wingles. Penny candies. Yeah, I remember them too. They weren't the best candies, but you were getting something. Definitely getting a sugar rush. 87. A little bit chopped up. Not too bad, though. Anyway, definitely copper. No doubt about it. 2006. Definitely zinc. 95. Ooh. A little bit shiny for a 95. Now, looking at the rim, it's actually looking pretty good. Now, could I be so lucky as to have a nice looking... I stopped that video. Yeah, I did, because I was looking into that other thing. I'll leave it off for now. Hang on a second. Let me just... yeah. So let's flip it over and see. Because that's not ugly. It's got a little bit of smudge. Should that go into the look into pile? I think so. Because that'll give us a reason to pull out the penny book and sort of scrutinize it a little bit. 2005. Oops. In the process, there's definitely some coins that have hit the ground. I got a watch. I got one of those Beam central vacuum cleaners that it'll just suck whatever the hell's on the ground right up. Never see it again. Oh yeah, it's transported to that central place, but that's a thing you don't want to open. I don't think. 2012. Here we go. This is the right queen. 76, and it's dirty. 2001. Gonna have to buy myself a Crucible for no reason particularly. Fully copper. Exactly what we're looking for unrelated reasons. Yeah. 3. 88. 88. Don't be late. There's a word that rhymes with that I'm not gonna say. 'Cause I don't feel like it. But sometimes I feel like it. Oh yeah. Here comes the Spider-Man. 71. A little bit mucky. Doesn't that look different? Looks like it's got a hugely thick rim. It looks like a coin struck in the middle of a coin that's larger than it. Planchette, I should say. I don't recognize ever seeing, and I mean, I'm not like I'm swapping it out right now, but still sort of staring at it. All right. Let's push it to the side. I mean, I know it's a Zinky, but and there's a 2004. I guess it's not much different. Is it? It's definitely different. Looks like quite a bit different. I mean, if you were measuring that. Well, this is just that these are both Zinkies, 2006 and 2004. But it just strikes me that has a real thick. There's another 2004. Let's get through these anyways. 98. Still Zinky. $2007. No PA. I'll have to see. I don't remember which of those things to look for at all yet. So at this point, I've only been. But I'll keep my eye out for 2006s as they come and go. 2000, not good enough. And that gets us through another roll right now. We get this. We get to end on a pretty 93. Now, why does it have to have that cancer down there between the D and the A? Tell me. Tell me why I don't like Fridays or Wednesdays or Tuesdays or any day that's a work day. Tell me why I don't like work days. I wanna sleep the whole night through. I don't want to shoot anybody down. I don't want to shoot the whole day down. I don't want to shoot anything down. Though I did like going to the gun range with my friend DJ. He took me there not just before we left British Columbia. And I got to shoot a 500 Magnum. That was friggin' canon. It's literally, okay, so hang on to this bitch or it's going to slap you in the forehead. Like, just like on the worst of the YouTube videos where the poor girl grabs the gun and just figures she's going to hold it out there, pull the trigger. Don't do that. That sucker's got a mule kick and you're going to wear it as a face ornament. But I put some number of 100 pounds behind it, gave it the grip of death. They only let you load in like it's a 6-shooter, but you're going to get one bullet. One bullet was $9, by the way. One bullet, $9. So I didn't actually pay for it. The people who brought me DJ and Sia, I was their guests, and they arranged it as a treat for everybody they brought that day. Was the fellow came out from the special area brandishing this unit and enough bullets for each one of us. No P, but still is a zinc planchette are the two. Remember 2006, no P, but it's a steel planchette, or 2006 P, but it's a zinc planchette are the two errors. So the first thing to do is find the 2006 anyway. I got to start to memorize what's different and important about them, and then I can properly employ that. Looks like I got one more here that's in a paper roll. Paper roll, coinage, 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 paper roll. That's ugly. Get that out of the way. Pardon me. Paper roll. What the hell is that? Oh, I know what it is. I'll fix it after, but I know what it is. Son of a duck. I'll tell you what it is. I don't mean to keep it from you. On top of the speaker, which is my right speaker, the one that's over there, I have my iPad. And my iPad not only can talk with Wi-Fi and whatnot, it's a LTE cellular enabled iPad. So there's some kind of BS going on there with some kind of conversation going on between my iPad and others unknown that I'll take care of. But not for a moment. For a moment, I will go through these coins here. 92. Coin show tomorrow. Cool. Is is the mint going to be there with samples of the new coins for you? Because I just missed out on that up here. I didn't realize that was already coming to town, although I had seen a schedule. I guess, when you're moving, the last thing you're worried about is what coin shows are going to be dropping by. So I missed my opportunity to get some fresh RCAF toonies there. Boo-hoo. Life's hard. Grab a life preserver, buddy. But 93. Take it. Now that hooked up with the Numismaniac, I will... Oh, there's our 2006 that we needed. It's a 2006. No P. Okay, so what do we got here? Well, there's no P. Now, if it's steel, I would be able to magnet it. Do I have a magnet? Well, this is kind of magnetic, I think. Let's just see here. Well, yeah. Okay. Remember, 2006, no P. But if it's a steel planchette, or 2006 P, but it's a zinc. Okay. So in this case, no P, but it's zinc. So that's... There's no P, but if it was magnetic, that's what we'd be looking for. And in this case, it is not magnetic, so it's normal. Nothing. Well, we'll keep our eye out. So if it's a 2006, we kind of want it to stick. So anyway, yeah, let's just go with that. Let's go with that. Steel plants. Oh. So they were an experimental plant ship then, steel. 2000 before they went with the zinc. 85. Look at there. It's a coin that looks like it's weathered the time quite well. It's actually a nice looking one. I hope it's as nice on this side. A little bit of smudge right there. A lot of collisions in life, obviously. Still pretty nice. 92 commemorative again. Nice. More copper. 2001, trying to look like a copper. It ain't. 2008, no. Sorry, sir. Ooh, that's the commemorative of 2002. Nope. 95, upside down. You don't want to fly the maple leaf upside down. Yours would be the second one I've got. Still looking for the unpainted one. Did you get any of them? Greedy bastard that I am. Got any of those? Got any of these? Hey, man. All right. I will. Okay, 95. $2,009. There's a 63. Look at that crop right in there like that. Hiding out. No one painted. That'll be the challenge to find us one of them then. All the more reason to do my searches. Even if I get a painted from you, I've still got to find me an unpainted. Yeah, they're harder to find. 63. Ooh, the heater turned on. Hang on, I got an app for that. Tick, 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 tick. Where's, oh, right, it's over here. See what's going on here. Oh, yeah. I do know what that is now. I think it's reasonably quiet. You can still hear it though. I engaged the app. So let's see when it's going to stop running. I don't think it's received the signal yet. Either that or the burners are off and it's just blowing out the additional heat that it's made before it turns itself off, which is likely what it would do. Ooh, a 69. A nice one too. Ooh. Please tell me the other side of this looks nice like this. Hey. No? I thought there was somebody else down here in the basement with me. There is not. Or they are not answering me. 69, we had this queen on the cover. A little bit of smudge down by her chest area there. Too bad. Not a bad looking coin otherwise, honestly. In pretty decent shape. I think we'll push this one over to the special area. 2011. 2008. 2012. 2012. 2012. 2011. 2006. 2011. 2002. 97. First year of the Zincoids. Well, I think all our circulation coins are for the most part round. I mean, we do have some multi-sided shapes that we've used, but in the end, round is the overarching theme pretty much. But perfectly round, I suppose if you wanted to split some hairs there, but I would call these pennies I'm currently looking at round. Now, if you go on the website, you'll find Canadian coins that are not round. There are all kinds of shapes, but they are not circulation coins. 88. And by the way, hi, Mike. Thanks for stopping by. All I'm doing is looking through these ones to find the ones that are copper and sort them into tubes of their own, separate from the ones that are zinc. That's all. And got some 92, that's a good one. Martin knows better than me. He pointed out that the 2006 is something to keep an eye out for. Oh, I'm dropping a few on the floor here. That's what you get with fat arms. Hey, 91, that looks pretty nice. Now, let's talk. Would you call that not round? Okay. Yeah, sure. So 12-sided, I guess? Well, how do we describe it? For descriptions and help, we turn, as always, to Coins in Canada. Pull up the 91 information. You better be good. Oh, you want to come up? All right, come here. Could be worse. I could have a big dog that just get bound up on its own. In my case, I got a little chihuahua that needs a hand every time. Copper. Non-magnetic. 3-cent value. Diameter, thickness, edge is plain smooth. Metal alignment. You know, obviously it is different than others, and there should be a name, and I'm sure there is for that. It's not particularly noted here. Don't take out the dog. The dog's been good to you. Leave the dog in, man. Don't take him out. Yeah, and the beauty is they stay jammed in your book maybe better. I don't know. I'm going to go with that. Oh, that is not money. He's no money. That goes in a completely different place. You got to go. I have a dog that thinks I'm part of some sort of snack here. Stop it. You can't just lick me to death. Well, what time is it? Noon. Well, not noon. 1 o'clock? Yeah, 1 o'clock. I should change the time on that to reflect Mountain and not Pacific time. I'm getting hungry, though. I am getting hungry. Hungry like the wolf. The juice is like wine. I'm on the hunt. I'm after you. Sound like a sound. I lost and I'm found. And I'm hungry like the wolf. Oh, another penny on the ground. I wish they were all magnetic. I could just pick them up with a magnetic. Oops. I'll put these away, and I have other pennies elsewhere, but this is the last of the rolls that were given to me by my friend Sia and DJ. Though I am pretty sure Sia had these put away, was thinking about returning them to the bank or whatever. And instead of returning them to the bank, I am more whatever. Woohoo! You got quite a little supply of Merkin coins as well. Perhaps I could put those in a pink folder. These are all Merkin. I think I'll use one of the pinkies for the American ones as well now that they're sorted. Just try to make it real obvious by putting one of those new Victory ones out there on the edge, on the outside edge, so you can just look at it and go, those are sorted because they're in a pink holder, and American because I can cleanly see that that is a new Victory penny from the Americans. Beauty of these is they close up whether they're completely full or not. They sort by 5 so you can drop another one on the effing floor. Dang. Makes me wonder if the Australian half dollars have traditional, those things are shaped like stop signs. They do. And there's another, like the UK ones, the 50p are oddly shaped as well in some cases. So, yeah. I got a book for any coin that has the Queen on it. So there's like a Commonwealth book where there are non-Canadian coins that support the Commonwealth. And that's where I would find Australian coins like what you were describing. Let's see if I can't just pick these up right now while I got the chance. That's a Canadian one. And that's a US one. All right, we'll shut that. Actually, we'll leave that open for now. Actually, we can just leave this one over here for now. That'll keep me sorted out for now. This one's not quite full. Those are the Zinkies, I'm sure. Yeah. Not quite full. What's this one? All right, that's that. Right, I know this. I just put it there half a second ago. Alrighty. You jumped. I saw you. The little box that my friend gave me. Oh, I see what happened there. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. We'll just put these in there in the box. We'll get a different box. There are other boxes. This is just the box. This is Sia's box. So we're gonna put some pennies back in the box. What's in the box? Pennies. Told you. What's in the box, man? Pennies. I told you. Oh. Okay. And Q-tips apparently, but that's a different story for another time. Okay. Dolce & Gabbana box. So it's hard to say what was in there. Little pair of Dolce & Gabbana underwear. I don't know. Are you having a live? When are you having a live? Are you doing a live today? Maybe I'll show up. You certainly send out the invites. It's a timing thing. As you can see, I don't do anything with any plans. When it's time to go live, I just push the button, start rambling like an idiot. But there you are, so I kind of owe you one now. I have to get a bigger box for all my tubes of duplicate coins soon. I was thinking that what I need to do is maybe start up an eBay and list all the extra friggin' coins I've got in such a way as that maybe they can benefit me and somebody else. Maybe somebody actually wants some of the shite I have. I have no idea. Was never really collected with sort of any of that kind of thing in mind. 5:30 Eastern today? That's not long. What are you guys searching? Nickels? Is it a nickel thing? Today, and what are you searching? What are you searching? Certainly. Nickels. Now, I don't know if I have very many nickels to search. I feel like... but I did get some. And I don't know dick about nickels, so I can't search nickels without your help. Because I don't know a thing about them. Now, okay, all right, sure, okay, all right. Let's just pack up the pennies for the time being, okay? Let's pack them up. Let's not go to Pennyland. Let's get these out of the way. Let's put them in the box. Okay, sure. Let us see. Give me just a second and see what I can do. What kind of nickels I have. Nickels? Oh boy. Man. It's not arthritis, but it still hurts like hell. Or maybe it is arthritis. I don't know. Probably is. That Dimebag Darren headquarters coming together pretty well until my installer showed up and we have to change everything. What's going on here? Okay. Nickel. So I know I've got these. Is this nickel still? Yeah, that's nickels. Now, was there more nickels somewhere? That's a good magnet to have around. Maybe I'll move that over there. Well, that's more pennies. Okay, all right. There's some nickels in here. I have to play unfair, but at the same time, I would be learning about nickels. Hang on a second, now that I'm standing up, the old man has to go to the lavatory. I'll be back. Won't be long. Okay, I is back. I guess I should have done that. So many things to remember. Ha ha ha. Darren has disappeared. Had to go to the bathroom. Okay. Stand fast, son. I will help. Here. There's coin books in my knees. So what do I know about your nickel? Darren has disappeared. No, I'm back. Well, this is where it's a little unfair. Because I'm not talking about, of course, I do got some that I picked up at the bank at one time to sort of check out with you guys. Never got around to it, but I think it's mostly these ones. There are some vintage rolls here that I don't know if I should be opening them or I should be leaving them alone. This is where it gets harder, right? I don't know. like these might be rolls of 2002s and just 2002, but the elastic band around them is deteriorated to the point where that's a 2022. Very unusual. See these rolls here. I think I opened one of them. Anyway, I have some nickels that would bear looking at and identifying, but I've had them for a while. I just haven't had I don't have the brains to be scoping them. And some of them, I'm, like I say, reluctant maybe to bust the roll open because of the the vintage nature of the roll. Like this one is likely a roll of 62s. So, but yeah, today's a good day to show up, honestly. I know you want up, but I'm going to get up in a second, and that's not going to help you with your up. So why don't you give me just a second before I get you up? Did you understand any of that? Probably not. Let's move this box out of the way. Stop it, doggy. I still have a bunch of pennies over here. You get set up for that. Nickel leave up here. Too many things in the way. 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 If I point that at that, and I swing this light out and point it at that, is that the swing, 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 swing. Quickly, quickly, quickly. There's no time. Quickly, quickly. There's no time. Quickly, quickly. There's no time. Come with me if you want to live. Oh my. Okay, so that's not helping that much. But oh, I see. What if I was to move that over a little bit? Something like that there. Oh, need a little more cord, do I? Come on, you can do it. Oops. Okay, all right. see if I can get a different kind of light on that. It's a little too glary. Okay. Okay, Poochie, come here. Juan. I'm not coming over there to let you in there, so whatever. Actually, there's one other camera that needs a tune-up anyway. So dare. And that is this one, which is overhead, but all over the place. $90 a thermos, 67. That's a 1990p. 106 million made. Seems reasonable for a 106 million made coin. There's only so much room for me and you in the same place. Something like that, with this pointing the other way. Except for that's loose. I don't want it to be loose. I want everything tight. Tight like a tiger. Tight like a tiger. Tight, tight, tight like a tiger. I like it all to be tight. Tight. Tight like a tiger. That's close. That's closer. It never ends. Why should it? Why should it ever end? Reverend. Okay. So unlock this one and just transform, reset transform, and that's the whole picture. It would be nice if it was a little bit closer. Probably be a better picture, but I'll trade it. So picky. Yeah, I think I'll go with that. All right. Ouch. I wish I wasn't so fussy. It'd make life easier if I weren't. But I am what I am, and that's all that I am. All right. All right. Fair enough. That over to there. Zoop. Close enough. So that gives me my face cam back. Stage. Multi. Multi should include stage. Stage is called overhead cam. So I turn on overhead cam. And I turn off window capture. Okay, so where is overhead cam? Go down. There it is. So we unlock it. And we move it over. There we go. Ha ha! Out of the body and into the fire, isn't that what they say? Out of the dark and into the light. Out of the frying pan into the fire. We got the upstairs view, we got the facial view, we got the scope view. Let's see here. Oh my. Where are you? Scooby-Doo. Okay. Gotta look up Martin. Today, because it comes today. To the Martin channel. Make sure that we are notification on for the nickel hunt. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? You got some work to do now. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? No, what are you doing, puppy dog? You're back. Come here. My puppy dog is back. Just checking. The Gmail. You don't have to camp out in the middle of my chest, you know. Why are you crawling all over me when I'm trying to type? Silly dog. Close enough. Hey. Not too much. Just getting ready to join a friend's nickel hunt a little bit later. His name is Marty is Nuts About Digging, and his channel is Martin's Treasure Hunting. And he's over in your part of the world, actually. And yeah, actually, he would love to know you. Hey, the Numismaniac's here on the channel with me. He's also a fellow brother. Numis, you there? I don't know if he's still in the chat right now or not. But yeah, upcoming, there's going to be a nickel hunt on my buddy's channel there at 3:30 my time. That's a couple hours from now. But I got the notification on and I got my nickels out. I was just getting them ready. The Dime Bag channel here. Hi, everyone. Okay. Wait a second, though. Let's quick get this thing here. Invite. Copy. Let's get you a taste of StreamYard here. This is way better than Zoom or whatever the heck it is that you're using. Come on up here. Hit that StreamYard link. And it's browser-based. You don't need to download anything. You don't need to install nothing. It's like Zoom from that point of view. And actually, anybody else, any of my buddies or anybody for that matter, who wants to come up right now, you can. I open the door. You can come on in. I can get rid of some of that. I don't know why I had that on there. I just put on my headphones and heard it and think, well, you got that on for. So turn that down. I'll turn that down. So I'm waiting in StreamYard to see if anybody will join up with me here. The link is in the chat. Aaron, click on the link there and let me show you how StreamYard works. And am I like, get it set up? I don't have anybody watching. Dude, this is me. I don't got this is almost like a private channel. There's nobody out there. Pat, can you join in too, please? Just to give Aaron the idea of how well StreamYards works for these meetings. He's been using inferior technology. And I want to show him how it works with a few people up. So, Pat, if you're free, please grab the link and pop on up. In fact, if I know you and you're lurking, please pop on up. Be part of my test if you don't mind. I'd appreciate it. More I want to show my friend Aaron how this particular piece of software works is it's a good one. Now, it isn't good because we all know that they're now charging money for it, but we get the free version, which allows up to 6 guests for free. And so that'll work. Patrick, where are you? Dang it. Just me and the dog right now. I got the overhead shot so I can show off the coins. I got the double shot so I can show off the coins and the ugly face. That camera's off. That camera shows the monitor. That one shows the scope. I'm here. I got distracted by all the many things around you. I'm so surprised. This guy's got his room laid out like a museum. There's so many cool things to look at. Every direction you look, there's something cool. Okay, there's Aaron at the stage. Hey, brother. Now let me just see if I've got my settings right. Audio is mixing. Echo cancellation. Got my echo cancellation off. You've also got a reduced background noise you can use. I gotta hear you though. There we go. I'll hear you now. Aaron, are you there? Let me just see. Yeah, I'm hearing. Not hearing you right now yet. On the audio page, and you go down at the bottom, there's settings. Click on settings, and that'll open up. In fact, just a second here. One of the two. So on this page here, you got to set it up so that when you see
Sure.
when you
Maybe you can hear me now.
got you. Oh yeah, there you are. Woohoo! I don't have to use echo cancellation because I got headphones on. I don't ever use reduced background noise for myself. I like to use stereo audio, and when I'm singing, I always turn this thing all the way up, but we'll let it automatically adjust mic for me this time. Yeah, I heard you good there.
No, I think again, I'm the only thing that's showing on your live stream.
No,
no, there you are. Okay.
No, and before that, I was like, I got that, this.
Sorry,
my
I'm
stage.
confused because I'm always on the other end. Like you can't look at the YouTube when you're doing this portion of it.
Yeah, it's delayed by that few moments that, yeah, you've just abandoned the YouTube, but you want to pop open your chat either through YouTube or from here so you can keep chatting with people. But yeah, YouTube will only throw you off if you keep watching it. I'm hoping Patrick will join us right away too here. Actually, speaking of lights, I didn't turn any of mine on. Now I've got a dog on me. Dog's on me!
So that chat that you have going here or the comments, that's from your YouTube stream?
Exactly. So that automatically displays from your YouTube, and I can actually broadcast to multiple YouTube channels at once. I can add my other channel, which I have at any time, and then it'll start broadcasting there, and I'll get all the comments from both channels come up in here at the same time. And you can display them as people.
Oh my goodness, isn't that pretty?
Oh yeah, there's lots of great things about. I wanted to drag you kicking and screaming to this program right away. It's way better now. It was way better before because they just sold out to another company, and I was getting the full meal deal for $10 a month. They put it up to $45 a month. So I've gone back to the free version. With the full meal deal, you can have 12 people on panel, and you have unlimited time. With the free version, you can have 6 people on panel, and you only have 20 hours every month, but you get 20 hours every month. So
Yeah, 20 hours is a lot to have a face on the screen with you.
now there is another program called EV Mux that does very much the same thing and has unlimited time and also gives you 1080 output, whereas this one, the best output we get for free is 720, which is fine.
720 is fine for YouTube.
Yeah. Wish Pat would come on though. He's now that I moved to Edmonton, he was already living here. He's a ex-Canadian Forces dude that is big into his coins, and he's a great. He's also the West Edmonton Mall Santa Claus, so he's got an alter ego. He's
okay.
He's Chris Kringle, and he's an actor in some different shows with that call for old man or Santa figure, or he's been in a few different things.
Okay, and, what's up, Nurse Maniac?
That's the man. Where are you, man? Man, where are you, man?
I'm just realizing now. It's funny. I
is.
have a coin icon.
Today is the Skipper.
What's up, Skipper?
Who you calling?
What
Certainly
is
not. Chris, just keep me off the list. I know you've got a list. Just keep me off it. That's all I ask.
Well, what can can I say?
So we're all fans of your channel, also of the other good ones that come along with it, Northern Perspective and stuff like that. But Aaron runs the Canadian Looney channel and is, of course, like-minded. He's not fully just a conservative with quotation marks. He just knows there has to be change, and the change that we can avail ourselves of is Pierre. So we might as well go there. Whatever gets us away from True Blow.
True Blow?
Well, I know I'm not getting any true blows off of him. Somebody must. Maybe Jolie.
Oh, that was a political pun.
Yes, Santa Claus is so nice.
Yes,
So-
on the clause that refreshes.
Did you look into making that video you need to any further? Do you need my assistance any?
I need
Martin, you
more.
can come up too.
I
You're
need
getting
more
ready for
help.
your show?
Carter has bills. What are you talking about?
Martin, hit the link and come on up. I'm showing Aaron how this works, and the more people I can load at one time, the better for my test. So if you won't do it for any other reason, do it because I need you for the test. And would you pop up, please?
Come on, Martin.
So you've got different choices of layouts as well.
Yep.
Very easy to just click on. Everybody's got a solo, so you can solo anybody individually real easy. And you can customize the layouts. So if there isn't one in the list that is appropriate, hey, he's on the mobile.
That's
That
it.
means
I'm out with the dog.
Digger Dog is out having a good time. Now, Aaron and Martin are both in the far east, and Skipper and I are in Edmonton. Martin, you're in New Brunswick. So I'm sorry,
Dartmouth, Halifax.
Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Halifax.
I just moved back to Guysborough from Spryfield. I lived in Spryfield for the last 10 years.
Okay,
Okay.
Spryfield.
Yeah, that's a scary part of the city.
I didn't find it so. I was pretty close
No.
to the Rotary.
Aaron, face it, you're one of the scary guys.
I just find it out of the way.
I was one of the scary guys. If you go to that in the 400 block in Spryfield, you're going to get jumped.
Yeah, I just find it out of the way.
Yep.
See, now you're the
Like-
boss. I can make you the boss. I can make whoever it is gets the big picture. Not just drag and drop. I just grab it with my mouse and drag it to the spot where I want it. And the same thing with any of the layouts. If you want to move people around, drag and drop.
Is that a StreamYard overlay a part of what you get rid of if you get the $45 package?
This is all part of free. I'm running free right now. Everything you get, everything you see, you'd get. It's all, yeah, it's really quite well. It's about if you need more than 6 people or you need 1080p, then you got to pay. But if you don't need either of those things and 20 hours cuts it for the month, then this does a good job still.
No, I'll give this a good hard look, man. It looks pretty slick.
It doesn't glitch out nearly as much as I seen. Zoom wasn't treating you very well, I didn't think.
I was doing everything on Facebook.
Facebook. That's even worse.
And,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I'll tell you the reason for it is, like I have Zoom myself, but Zoom is a pain in the ass.
So you could stream to Facebook from here. Remember I told you you can multiple stream? You can set Facebook as a destination and use StreamYard to stream on YouTube and Facebook simultaneously and give people a choice. But yeah, you didn't realize that. I should have come with that at the beginning. Yeah, you can multi-stream. I don't know if the free one will do a multi-stream, though. I'd have to check on that. But again, maybe Evie Mux will do a free multi. I know I can stream to 2 YouTube channels. It's not a problem. I might be able to stream to a Facebook and a YouTube. I know that you can with the paid version for sure. Absolutely. But the free one might as well. Again, a little bit of extra looking into that.
I use Restream. So.
Yeah, Restream's another one. Martin uses Restream all the time. Works great. And so there are definitely options beyond Facebook, and you can still get your signal to Facebook. You wouldn't be off Facebook using the right tool. And you don't want to be. You're established there, so you want to make sure that you're there.
Yeah, well, no, it's not. I'm not trying to grow a Facebook channel at all. I just found it was the quickest, easiest interface to have people in one spot put up a link, and pretty much just being lazy. It was the first easy thing I found, and I'm not doing a lot of live like face to face yet.
You're going to
But
find
I'm
this
interested
easier
in
in the
doing
end.
more.
Look at that. Let's go down the tracks, man.
Yeah,
Put your ear
we're-
to the track. Make
we're
sure
right-
there's no train coming.
There you go. There's the McDonald Bridge behind me, right down by the Halifax Harbor.
Can I have a Big Mac?
Oh, Halifax Donairs. Mm.
There's the track.
Do you know Guysborough, Martin?
No, I can't say I do.
Like just northeastern Nova Scotia?
I know the name.
Yeah.
But I've never really been around that area, so.
No, it's pretty down here. It's untouched. Pretty far off the Trans-Canada, and we do have Wi-Fi, or pardon me, high-speed internet by now. So,
Boy, is the
everything you
tide
need
ever
is
low.
online, I guess. Pardon me?
I say the tide ever low here. It's like,
How does that smell? I guess it's cooler today, so it wouldn't be too bad.
it's not bad. It's a whole lot better now that you haven't got condoms and crap and all that floating around the harbor.
Yeah, no. I remember like we had our sewage system here put in probably 30 years ago, and before that, like when I was a kid, like you'd see like some of the grossest things when you go down the wharf. Like, oh my lord.
Well, I moved here 22 years ago from Ontario, and when I came down here, all that nasty stuff was still floating around the harbor. They were still pumping the sewage in here, and I couldn't believe it.
Hard to believe how it recovered though.
Yeah.
Because it did recover. Like
Oh,
nature's
it's
pretty amazing.
It's a lot
that way.
better.
Yeah.
Well, all the tide's going in and out.
What kind of pup you got there? Is that Shih Tzu?
You got it. It's a little shag.
Got a bit of an underbite.
Yeah. He's my sidekick.
Yeah, awesome. And you're in Edmonton, are you, Captain?
I am in Edmonton. I've lived quite a few different places though. I lived in St. John, New Brunswick for a spell, and my daughter actually attended Dalhousie University.
Yeah, here in Halifax.
Yeah, and
That's good.
spent some time in Nova Scotia. I ended up going to Cornwallis, the army, and yeah, it was. Yeah, I love the province. I wouldn't want to live there though.
I like the province too. I think I'll be happier here. I'm back in the community that I grew up in. It's only got like 500 people.
Right.
We're an hour away from a traffic light.
Yeah, you're out in nowhere.
I like it. Live in the sticks. In university, my nickname was Hick because I'm from such a rural place.
I tried to move to a small town. I had a house built out in Kalmar, a tiny little place, and my wife hated it so bad I had to move back into the city. She's a city girl. The idea of camping is, 4-star hotel, if you know what I mean.
While you're doing that, Darren, you'll see that I'm using my OBS now, I guess the right way. I'm just testing to see that I can use this as my window. I don't know if you can see my window, Darren. That's something I did last night. I've got all of the members in this list that can scroll. Again, I can change the size and shrink it down and whatever. But I figured out how to do that trick last night.
Right on. That's the way you do it, one trick at a time.
Well, the next trick is going to be figuring out if this lemon's worth the squeeze, or the juice is worth the squeeze on this one, because I think it probably is.
I really got to learn how to do this stuff.
I had Skipper over the other day. He needs to make a video and we needed to sort out green screen. He's got a green screen and he brought it over. And then I explained to him how I figure things out, which is one guy on YouTube, Michael Fryer Jr. You go to his channel, Michael Fryer Jr., go to his videos. He's made a video on how to use OBS to do, you fill in the blank. Whatever it is the thing that you want to do, he's already got a video on how to do it. I literally went, green screen, OBS. We watched a little bit of a video that showed 3 different ways of doing it. We picked one, we did it, and it worked perfectly.
What was his name? Dimebag?
Michael Frey. I'll put a link in the chat. Michael Fryer Jr. But I'll link you.
Oh, cool. I'll look into that.
This
I
is
use
one of the
OBS
only
for a lot.
channels.
Green screen was I know a lot about green screen. I actually, no joke, Darren, this is my green screen kit.
Oh, that's like mine.
I got it out from the basement this morning.
Cool.
That's the same one that I brought over to Darren's place yesterday.
Yeah, green screen super easy, man. Like
yeah, real easy.
The OBS software is excellent with green screen.
There he is. One of the mountain.
Well, right now, if Darren's cat there were on screen, she would look like just a head and 4 legs.
You gotta go, right?
He's a dog.
No, I know that was us teasing.
I have a cat. It's 4 times bigger than this dog.
Yeah.
My cat.
I was only teasing. I knew it was a dog. Really,
I knew you knew it was a dog. I was teasing you. It's a double tease. Besides, this one's a wet rat. Oh, see, and then there's another thing I would share with you with OBS. You don't happen to have an old tablet lying around, do you? Like an old Android tablet used for any reason, shitty as could possibly be?
I don't, but I can get one.
I got one.
Okay, so ignore the name on the top that I've used because every time I set this up, I use a different name. And I guess I had a funny thought at the moment, but let's see here. Vagina. Now, ignoring the fact that I called it vagina, this is a piece of software called Stream Control, and it's just software for Android tablets. And basically, it lets me do my control of OBS on the tablet. So I have OBS running, but it's not on any of my 4 screens. But if I want to change something, I just choose the scene I want. Like if I want the opening scene and I touch that, you get the opening scene. If I touch the next one, which I call face, you get face.
So is that Bluetooth or?
No, it's on the same network. This is connected to my Wi-Fi network, and so is everything else. So it's doing this through Wi-Fi. If I hit multi, you get the multi-screen. If I hit the HQ, you get my other camera. It's not set up. So this is a switcher that you can buy a switcher like this, but if you want to use an old tablet to do it, you can.
It has to be Android?
I don't believe it has to be Android. This particular software. Oh, hang on. We got. I heard another beep. Oh, when people come in, you hear a little boop. And I thought I heard the boop, but I don't hear no beep. There's nobody there.
Beep, beep. I think you heard somebody phone here. Beep.
I have an iPad, and I have never used it for this.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure.
I do. Somewhere's around here, I've got old iPads.
Perfect. I'm pretty sure you'd be able to use an old iPad. They're actually usually a little bit more capable than old Android. So now the software is called Stream Control. And I would look it up just on the web just to see if they have an iPad version. They spell it weird. So let me get that for you here.
I'll find it, man. I've got Screen Control. I'll be able to figure something out.
Well, the word stream, but then control like the short form CTRL.
Yeah, like the key.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all I use that tablet for. I got that tablet holder. It sits beside me and it's just my remote control. But if I get up for, like, when I do karaoke, I'll grab my handheld mic and go stand in my stage area with all the flashing lights. I bring that tablet off to the side and I can still switch scenes and whatnot. And people don't realize. And that's cool. That's a great.
No, that is nifty for sure. Something I'll be looking into.
I like that scroll that
Come on,
you're
Murray.
doing. I like that. That's cool.
Oh, and I can run this scroll as well. Oops. Oops.
Right on.
And I can change the speeds, and there's a million things you can do. You could have it going like up and across the screen if you were that. Anyways, I figured that one out about OBS last night. Pretty nifty.
Sounds like somebody's walking to a beehive. Are you going to get stung? He's getting ready.
How you doing? Come on.
So to host on here, I do figure you would need an account at least.
Yeah, a free. You have to set up a free one.
Yeah. This is something I will be looking
Connection
into.
there.
Man.
Going from data to Wi-Fi.
It feels like I've got a lot of irons in the fire. There's so many things I want to do and try, but this is definitely something to explore.
Are you all ready, Marty?
Hey, yeah,
Are
it's
you,
done my walk.
no, are you ready for your stream?
That's another what? It's 6:30 my time, so it's another hour and a half.
What
You
kind of
want me to-
stream do you do, Martin?
Doing a nickel hunt with a couple guys here from, well, one guy from Toronto and then another fellow from Halifax. Another
So
fellow
that
from
means-
Bridgewater joins us once in a while.
So that means they went to the bank and got a whole box, $500 worth of nickels that they haven't yet, or at least that many, 10 rolls, and they haven't
More
looked through
nickels.
them yet. So together, they will sort of see who gets the most interesting things out of that box.
Out of their stash.
Out of
Yeah,
their
no,
stash.
that's cool. Yeah.
Looking for stuff like this. I guess this one must get you a little point or two.
What do you do with your channel?
Canadian federal politics.
Uh,
I started a year ago, and I my very first show. I went in raw and did a live broadcast with Question Period, but I didn't have a clue about politics. I didn't know anything. I was didn't know which side was. I had no idea what was going on in Canadian federal politics or really how the system worked. I grew up here, so like we only had CBC and CTV. So on Sundays, we would watch Question Period for 3 hours. But anyhow, the channel took off, did pretty well. And
Yeah,
now I
he's
watch
big compared
politics
to
every
us.
day with some cool people.
All right. Yeah, I stay away from the politics.
No, I can't blame you. It's pretty toxic.
We're pretty liberal about what we let go in the chat, though. When it comes to being a moderator, I moderate very little out of the chat. If somebody said something specific about a person in the chat or attacked the channel owner, then that's something that gets action. But you can say almost anything you want about the government. I'll let her slide.
Oh, I'm pretty much the same there. Like there's a couple of things. Our audience is just so great by now. It like there used to be some just people that would come into the room looking for trouble. It doesn't take very long to suss those people out. And we have a group of, I'm guessing by now there's about 200 people that come every day to watch whatever we're watching in the afternoons, which most of the time is question period.
So here's another nice thing when you're doing this. I don't know how it works with the Facebook thing, but I've got a mute for every one of you. So that means if you've left your microphone on by mistake and somebody else is talking and I can look and I can see, oh, you're not muted, I can just mute you.
Well, this is 10 times the interface that the Facebook chat is. I went there based on laziness, and it was just convenient. First one I tried that worked. And the reason I didn't use Zoom is because then I need to get people's emails, and I don't need that
no
as much.
complication.
But this is slick.
You also have a volume for anyone. So if any person's too quiet or loud, you can adjust them. By the way, you should be speaking into the front of your mic and not the side.
Yeah, I should be more like this.
Yeah, that's the way it's made. Oh, you're gone. You pulled yeah, you know this. You pulled the wire out. You're back yet? Back. You're not live. As soon as you moved it, it went away. We don't have you back yet. You got a bad connection somewhere. Not yet. Hello. Not yet. Yeah. You're gone.
See, now you made him screw up his mic.
See, I made him. Yeah, I made him turn it and it stopped. As soon as you turned it, it stopped. Turn it on. Plug it back in. There. Oh. You got a bad.
You want me to send you the link to the nickel there, Darren?
Want me to do what? Yeah, please.
You want me to send you the link?
Yes, sir.
Link to the restream?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You were nice enough to be on mine. I will definitely show up for yours today. I'm not doing anything this afternoon, and I already got my nickels out.
There we go.
There we go.
There's a mute button on the bottom of it that I hit.
You didn't know it was there?
No, I did, but
you didn't realize you'd hit it. Oh, they're gone now. You hit it again. That's magic. Very good mute button, though. You don't hear it when you hit it. Yeah. Why don't you turn the microphone in the set so that you can see the mute button? There, he's back. Yeah, he's back. I can hear him fiddling. Yeah. Yeah, you're back. Tap, tap, tap.
What in the fuck?
Sometimes
All
those
right.
USB cables aren't what they're cracked
No,
up to be.
we've got it now.
Got it. Yeah, you're good. So now you need a Canadian Loony logo on the back of the microphone so they can see well, you're pretty good at putting your logo places actually, but you know how it is, like news guys always have the logo of the news outfit they're with.
Yes. I need to get some stickers made. I did start looking into that Thursday night.
I'll go to
I don't know if you look very, very closely at my logo here. I'll pull up a bigger one.
Darren Lowe, Canadian Loony here. Prime Minister, why are you such a giant piece of shit? People want to know.
I did make some changes to my logo last night. I was up till 5 last night. That's why I'm so stupid today.
Okay, so what did we do? We made the red and the outside border looks a little different, maybe?
So my old design was just a maple leaf. There was no question period Canada. My channel started out as question period Canada, and I'll sort of wanting to include that in my peak. And again, most of my stuff comes from question period Canada. So like you would never really even see that it's lettered when it's in where it would normally be. But if you blow it up, I curved the loony. The loony used to be straight, like the word loony used to be straight across, and now I've put the curve in.
Did you have Canadian in there before, or just loony?
It's always just been loony.
Cool.
Like on the coin. It's easy to change these up. It's like if you know the photo editing software, it's quick and fun. Stuff.
See, that's where I fall short. We mentioned it before. I'm not just not a graphics person. So I've had somebody made this time ago that one graphic that I use, and a couple others, and I've been pretty good with those so far. But as far as drawing myself is concerned, can't do it.
Yeah, learned how to do everything just like on my own, and
Because you had
I'm
to.
not good at it. It's very like Much Music 1998, like it's old school. The I can see like what my influences were, I think.
South
pretty-
Park.
But it's fun anyways. Like,
We lost Pat. I wonder if his wife beat him to death. Terrible. Terrible.
I
That
just
would
got an
never
email
happen.
from BH. BH thinks he might have had a small stroke. Affected the right side of his face.
oh, brutal. Sorry to hear, man.
Paralyzed his right hand. He's always in our stream. He's not doing good. You think if that happened, you think he'd go to the hospital?
You'd think. Yeah, stroke is definitely hospital worthy.
Yeah.
Was that 1921?
51.
51.
They won.
Not the prettiest 51 you're ever going to find.
So, Darren, thank you so much for helping me out with the channel, bro.
Well, the little bit that I do, I'm happy to do. I'm by no means a pillar of the community, but there's a 46 for you.
You are of my community, I think. Like,
There we go. There's the old king. The king. Oh, nice hat. No audio. Nice hat.
the kid.
Never an audio when you need one.
Never an audio. That's right. Give me my ration of rum, please.
What is that? Is that a war nickel you got there? No, it can't be.
No, it's a 46.
46.
Here's a war one. Here's a 45.
Oh, I have so many of those bloody things. We seeded the entire city of Edmonton with them.
You did.
Guy was given several boxes, big boxes that were found in a boat shed, and he brought them to the coin club, and he gave a roll to every person there. There must have been 50 of us in there. He says, "What you do? Find one that you really like, hold on to it, and I want you to seed the entire city with these old nickels." So that's what we did. Every time they went to banks and stores and everywhere, suddenly the whole city's got 1945s floating around.
Do they have any additional value, really?
Yeah, it depends on, just like anything, it depends on condition. You know, they're not super rare, but if you get some that are fairly good condition.
Okay. So it looks like an F12 would be 40 cents. A VF20 would be 55 cents. Yeah. It's a 50-cent coin there.
Yeah.
Especially coming out of a roll that's not beat up. You're handing out at least 55-cent nickels. Almost uncirculated would be $1.75. Nice. Nice. There's the nice one there, the newest toonie.
The new toonie.
Yeah, Pat brought me one the other day, but I have yet to find one of my own that celebrates the Royal Canadian Air Force. And there's going to be, is it the normal numbers? It's 2 million painted, 1 million unpainted.
Yeah, it's the same.
So this is what we look for. Some people order up some rolls directly from the mint. Some search through boxes till we find the ones we want. And some people have boxes dropped off at their house. I don't know how that works.
What kind of cameras are you guys using on the coins?
Little coin scopes.
Yeah, this one is a Celestron 5 megapixel coin scope. I also have a Chinese 2 megapixel that's just as good, really. I just was stupid and decided I needed to buy a better one.
Chinese that run through
Oh.
OBS.
Pluggables.
Mine's just called a pluggable coin scope.
Yeah, pluggable. If you need a scope, get a pluggable. They work really good. I've so many times asked a person after looking at their visuals and they've been real sharp and crisp. What are you using? Pluggable. So pluggable USB microscope camera. They're not that expensive at all, though mine was more. But the Celestron is like a name brand, not still made in China, but they make.
So, what do you
telescopes
think
and stuff.
happens, Darren, if I try to record what we're doing right now?
Nothing. You should be able to click record on OBS, and
So,
but you're going to get your part, right? Whatever you've got
so,
going.
so
through
what
OBS.
winds up happening there a bit. I go away and they see that like my quarter of the screen is now your screen, or pardon me, would be what I'm
Doubled and
recording.
tripled and-
What I'm seeing is what is showing as my display.
Yeah, so you're recording what we see in your square.
Right.
Cool.
No, I'm recording all 4 squares, but the way that it comes, because that's what I'm recording, it shows that. So what I'm watching here is what you're seeing as my quarter display.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Inception.
Yes.
There's-
So that would be something I'd have to figure out if two people were trying to record the same stream. I don't think that's even what I'd be using it for. We'll go back to this. It's easier to look at.
You got a light behind your head, Pat?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's
Does it make me
bleeding
look
through.
like I have a halo because I deserve
Yeah,
it?
so you'd want to be able to darken that out when you want to do it, because that light shows through and it causes you to have that.
I don't have a green
shimmer.
screen. I don't have my green screen up.
Oh,
as
I see. That's why it's
pretty big.
okay.
He's all ready
that's
for
why.
the Santa Claus thing.
I'm getting ready. Yes.
Awesome.
So without a green screen, is that just a filter that you hit to have yourself cut out?
You do that in OBS without a green screen, right? There's a setting that lets you do it with a virtual green screen, but it's not as good as a real green screen.
No,
Thus, the
I
edges
just
around
haven't
his head.
bumped into that before.
Virtual background.
Yeah, virtual background. So you set a green background, but it's a virtual green background, not an actual piece of cloth. It can be
Okay,
done
cool.
in OBS, but it's just not as good of an end result.
No, I would. I've got my green screen here. It takes 30 seconds to set up if I'm going to use a green screen. Also, the editing software that I use is excellent for doing cutouts. Like without green screen, it just does excellent
Somebody slashed the queen.
cutouts.
Oh, terrible.
Oh, terrible. Slash the queen.
I tried green screen. I can't get it to work. I get all this green glow.
Slash the beaver too. Terrible. Ooh, it's a shiny one. Haven't seen that one crop up yet today. What you doing, little guy? I'm wasting all my good ones here. Oh, so we lost one, and it automatically switched the layout. There we go. Oh, did you want to go to audio avatar?
Is that to me?
No, I guess to Martin, who's gone now. See, there's a setting that that you can choose, and it is in. I'm actually looking for where it is. In the settings in general, it says audio avatars. So if you want to allow people to reduce themselves to an avatar with a little pulsing circle around it, you can do that. That's my previous dog, Charo.
Yeah.
Or if you pull audio avatars, then once somebody removes themselves from the picture, their avatar is gone, but not their voice. So if you wanted to narrate as voice of God, you could do that with removal of audio avatars and see here, voice of God.
Yeah. I'm going to have to spend some time looking at this because it's definitely slick.
You will have to listen to me. I have the answers. Listen carefully. Follow directions. Don't get it wrong. It could be your life. What
Where's
fun.
that voice coming from?
It's an audio avatar. No,
that's cool. I've got to run, Darren. I've got a few things to get going. Just wanted to stop in and check out what you were doing today. Thank you so much for your help. This is great. I don't know when I'm going to get around to using it, but I will be exploring StreamYard, learning. Nice to meet you, gentlemen.
Take care.
Okay, sir.
We'll catch you next time. Have great shows this evening.
See you soon.
Take care, Dee.
Thanks for coming up, guys, and helping me show it off. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Motion. Cheers. Take care, buddy.
Thank you so much.
You going to post up your link
later
here, Martin?
I emailed it to Darren Lowe.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll join you over there and shut this one
Assuming
down.
you're still using the same email address.
Oh, yeah. I've been gurgling this one along for 3 3/4 hours now, so I'm going to whip upstairs and see if I can't get myself something to eat and then join you. So,
yeah. All right.
From Dimebag Aaron World Headquarters here in the corner of my basement.
Peace out.
Peace out is correct. And end stream, and then click on that there, and then we're done.